Welcome to America's hottest talk line. Guys, hot ladies are waiting to talk to you.
Vinegar syndrome. Guys.
There, she wrote my name like I'm the.
She says Yeehaw and Greg.
Yeah, like she's straddling me, and then XOXO. Yes. So,
Greg's got a girlfriend.
Yeah, it's got the Mighty Ducks guy. It's got that guy.
No! Yes, but no! He's not the Mighty Ducks guy! It's Emilio Estevez! One of the Brat Man! Jesus Christ! He was a Brat Man before he was the Mighty Ducks is the end of his career! Jesus Christ! Get off my plane. I think Sony paid you a bunch of money to talk about all their steelbooks tonight.
This is a movie I didn't think I'd like as much as I did. I know it was like really popular because it like won some Oscars and whatever, but
Debbie does Dallas.
They actually produced crew jackets. Like, the movie never went into production.
And then everybody asks about, what's it like being a part of the movie that bombed, or are we still talking about that? I said, look, well, I'd much rather be the leader of a squad in a movie than be the lead of a movie in the summer of '87 that no one remembers what it was.
Is anyone even there still? I don't even know.
Yeah, we're just listening to
Okay.
I was like, no one's saying it. Like,
really
is it a story?
Just for instance, like, I mean, they've got all sorts of stuff. You can never have enough physical media. What a clown. We lost our hostess.
Excellent.
It's a mostest.
What happened there? Just like
I don't know.
I was watching it, and can you guys hear me?
Yeah,
No.
I was ready to go like emergency, man down, man down.
I really don't know what happened. The internet's up, everything. It was like I got full signal, and it was like right at the end, boom. I don't know what happened.
Whatever you did didn't work out well.
We angered the Emilio Estevez gods.
Hi, kids.
Hi, everybody. Welcome, fellow fellers, to the Physical
Yeah.
Media Show here on FanZcene. With me tonight are my cohorts in crime, Rookie and Tom. How you guys doing this evening?
Hail the Mighty Ducks guy.
Hell. Oh, I don't know what that was. That was weird. But yeah, let's go ahead and get to the chat and say hi real quick, and then we'll get to some physical home media for you guys. We got Random Brad, salute to you. And then we have Ace Hanlon, let's see some media. Definitely. We have Clark the Shark. What is up, Clark the Shark? Glad to have you with us. And then we also have Terry Scott, Hell Fanzine, Tom Rookie, plus the chat. Well, hell to you. And then hi, Trevor Maurer from Australia. Yes, the land that Disney abandoned. So we say F you Disney as always. And then what's up, my good friend Brian Q from Head Home Video says, I got to tape a couple things for my channel, but I wanted to pop in and say hi. I shall return. Well, we look forward to your return. And this is a guy we got to get on here one day too. He's awesome. I love his
Oh
channel.
yeah, he
Shout
still
out.
tapes stuff.
He still tapes stuff for his channel.
That's right. He's like, I gotta make a video.
He's a great guy though.
He's serious, like a video.
Honestly, he probably does. I do think he actually uses a video camera, like an old school, because he keeps it old school. Well, we also have Double Fett. What's up, Double Fett? Howdy to you. And Random Brad there again. What's up, Cool Gamer?
This week I gotta tell you, this movie sucks, okay? It sucks worse than the quality of my video.
I love that sound, actually. What's up, Tyrell72? Hell to you. Glad to have you here with us. Salute Deleted Scenes. Glad to have you as well. And then Terry Scott says, can't stay long, but we'll watch what I missed on replay. Well, the replay will be there for you. Don't worry, bro. You're not late. You're always on time, as you should be. What's up, Style Selection? Well, thank you. I know we are beautiful. We have Stephen Luther. What's up? How you doing this evening? Brian Borth, hell to you. He's not the Mighty Ducks guy. He's the Repo Man. It's true. It's true. What's up? Yes, F your Best Buy, F Shout Factory,
Your Best Buy.
all that good stuff. F Disney, all that good stuff.
And all those dumb shits.
There's your new song, Tom.
I'll work on that.
Yeah.
Speaking of
FMO.
Shout Factory, I guess they're kind of everybody's going, "Where's my faculty 4K?" Because they were supposed to announce it, and I guess it didn't get announced. What's going on with
Oh,
this?
it
I don't know.
didn't?
I don't
It,
follow Shout Factory anymore, so
I just saw like where everybody was like all the physical media people was like it's part of it, so I never
it's coming.
saw
It's
the
coming. Yeah, and then I
yeah.
looked on their website, and I'm like, I don't see none, and I seen some people talking about it, like, where is it?
Oh
They didn't
no.
announce it.
Poopsie.
So I think they didn't get all the ducks in a row on it, is what I'm thinking.
Probably, which is weird because it's
Not the
that's
first time for them.
yeah. And what's up, Psycho? Not your daddy, but yeah, that's weird because honestly, I'll be honest with you, I would have thought that would be coming from Paramount because it's a Dimension film. It was Robert Rodriguez and
It
Kevin
might.
Williamson. I would have thought that 4K would come from them, like they did the Scream.
Maybe there was some that, or maybe it's in the Kino Lorber deal.
It could be. It could very well be. That's
'Cause
what I'm
that's
curious. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say
Well,
I'm curious who would own that because I thought it would be Paramount.
If it's Miramax, then Paramount owns it most likely.
Yeah.
So
So it's interesting. Rook was just saying anything on the Scream Factory fund before you showed up. He was asking if there was any hubbub about it. I was like, no, and I guess there was. Now we know.
yeah, evidently they were supposed to announce it, and it just didn't announce. I don't know.
Hmm.
There was some people having, theorizing and stuff like that, but I just yep.
Yeah.
Entitled whiners. Who's the entitled whiners? Tim, us?
No, he's talking about.
I know he's being
that-
sarcastic. Yeah. Regardless, that's what Shout Factory will call. I get it. He's being
Yeah, I get what he's but that's true. It's also still bad. They love to badmouth the people that actually buy stuff from them.
Oh, there may be some more happening there. I'm not going to get too much into it. Let's say I know people. We all know people who know people. And somebody heard about this and they're like, "What the fuck? They did what?"
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, and they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna talk to some people." I'm like, "What do you mean?" And he's like, "I know people."
Oh.
So I know. Let's just say I might be getting to the bottom of some of this shit. So
imagine that. I think they messed with the wrong person with the wrong platform.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to be a dick. I want to be friends with them afterwards. I love Shout Factory.
Me
Do I have
too,
issues
yeah.
with them? Yes.
Yes.
This to me is just uncalled for. I mean, somebody who not only has, spent tens of thousands of dollars through your company, is a huge we get behind the product. We talk about it. Even when we have issues with certain things, we still 9 times out of 10 end with, well, this is the best we're ever going to get, or at least they're releasing it, something along those lines. So it's not like we're not thankful for what we do get, but like, I'm sorry, there's no company that should treat their customer like the way Shout Factory has. And I'm not the only one, guys. I know, because I've heard from you guys.
Yeah, and I went through their thing, looking at the thing and how they treat the people that give them bad reviews. They treat them a lot differently than the people that give them the good reviews.
Now, have there been some people that did say shit that probably was uncalled for? Yeah, but notice some people, they won't say what they're saying is uncalled for, right? Like, or what they give is some weak sauce. Right. And it's like,
Very true. Very true.
And yes, Tim, like when certain people left and right about the time they started getting all those Best Buy deals, they went mighty corporate.
Mm-hmm.
You're not wrong, Tim. And it also kind of started back with the Walmart deals, but those weren't as big of a deal, I don't think. But,
yes. That's very true.
Anyway, we got some news to talk about. Not a ton, but more of it seems like it's just clarifying. We do have some new stuff like Homework, the Titty Classic from 1982, starring Joan Collins.
My language.
Yeah, I don't think she shows off her tits in it.
Oh.
But it's one of those, like, it's kind of a...
She shot JR.
It's a little B movie.
Yeah. God, sorry.
I think she is the one. I think you're right.
Yeah, I was going to say Joe Collins. Yeah, she's the one that shot him.
It's a little B movie, kind of like sexploitation classic of the 80s. It was a movie I remember my dad had up on the top of the cupboard.
You don't ever Screwballs. Oh, Screwballs. Oh, did you hear about Joysticks?
It got delayed a little bit.
It got delayed. Yes.
And so did, I guess, I guess there was some misinterpretation at first. I think this was even Arrow's fault, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm so twisted on it now, and you'll see why later. But there was supposedly the Conan box set, they said the box set got delayed. But now nobody that I know of outside of a few reviewers has gotten their hands on the single edition. So I think the single edition actually got delayed, and not the
Interesting.
Conan.
Not the big Conan box set.
Yes, I think the box sets are out there just fine, but I haven't seen anybody else get the single editions. So I think those have been delayed a little bit. But yeah, here's Homework, just for those who may be wondering which one I'm talking about. And that's who's putting that one out? Trying to remember here. I just had it up here. Unearthed Films, so that's that one. You got what else did you have? Did you have anything good off the end there?
I saw The Crow 4K, which they didn't announce, which I think
now,
we talked about before. But
we have the rumor coming out is that's supposed to be April. I don't know for sure, but we'll see.
Yeah, and then what was it? There was one. Oh, did you see the Rambo? Well, these movies already been released.
This is where I was going to clarify. Okay, so as best as I can tell,
go ahead. Yeah,
this is just a re-release of part 1 and 5 from the box set, the Steelbook box set that Best Buy had. And my guess is they're probably just trying to clear out some old stock. Because we had heard from Robert Meyer Burnett, and I believe him, that they are rescanning these films. And I would imagine that we're going to eventually get the director's cut of Last Blood as well on some sort of disc. See, because that's what everybody was kind of curious about. As far as I can tell, you're not getting, it's the same thing as before. It's just the standard film. And then you might get a digital code for the director's cut of Last Blood. So those are the only two that are getting released. It's not getting released in a box set. But I think this comes off of whatever he calls himself now, the physical media president. Disc Father had said before they were going to re-release these, but then I had said, well, I'd heard from Robert Meyer Burnett that they're getting a complete top to bottom redo. So this is probably them just trying to clear out the old stock over at Lionsgate, I'd imagine.
Probably.
Which is cool for those who may have missed out on the box set. If you have them already and you want to just get the steelbooks of maybe 1 or Last Blood, or you don't have Last Blood. But look, I sad as far as I can tell, unless there's any other report that comes out about it, to the best of my knowledge from my research, it's only the theatrical cut of Last Blood. So keep that in mind. So
yeah, it won't be the
nothing new, no new scans, nothing new on the discs. So yeah.
Yep. And I believe that was about, I mean, I did see Suits, the complete series, is getting a Blu-ray release March 5th.
Cutthroat Island, I think, finally got a date for April 2nd. It's going to be a Walmart exclusive.
See, this is what we're talking about. I mean, it looks like they're taking over for Best Buy. A lot of this stuff is not yet in the stores, but a lot of these steelbooks are online at Walmart, and you can go ahead and buy them just like you would Best Buy.
I gotta look, but it looks like you might get a few things that are not on the UK edition that I imported, but I could be wrong. I'd have to look again. Yes. It feels like there's more special features on this than what I had from what I'm looking at here. Steelbook looks okay. It's got a slip cover, but I'm glad I imported the other steelbook because mine has the theatrical poster on it.
Speaking of another like Red 1 and 2 steelbook Walmart 4K exclusives.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you can tell where they went. Oh, the Iron Claw is getting a Blu-ray March 26th. So I think that's it.
Well, there's a couple other things that, or at least one I know of. Trying to double check because we do know about the other steelbooks. Yeah, Walmart's getting a bunch of Lionsgate steelbooks. Like I think we've already talked about Little Monsters, and we know they've already had
Shivers is coming too, and
yeah, there's a few other ones now that they're getting.
Yeah,
I think some of them have been released before, but yeah, so there was that. Yeah. But there was a bit of surprising news that I can't believe completely missed your radar. I thought it had, considering it was full moon news.
Oh, yes.
I was going to say.
Yeah, well, I actually knew about this well before. Honestly, I knew about this well before.
I was going to say, because I thought, I swear I remember you bringing this. While we're on the topic of it, I'll just.
Yeah.
Here.
This right here. Go ahead. Yeah, because this sale starts tomorrow. So
what we have here is a brand new subspecies wooden coffin box set, and in it, for the first time, we're going to get part 4. Now, Greg, since more about this, explain what's going on with part 4.
Okay, so like I said, I actually knew about this months before this was ever going to be announced because I know people in Full Moon. 1, 2, 3, and 5 will all be Blu-rays, and it will actually be 1080p Blu-ray quality. They lost the negative for part 4. They couldn't find it. It's just not available. I don't technically know if they lost it. They just said
And
it's not available.
I don't guess they don't have any film prints either. Is the other problem?
Yeah, I'm guessing there's no film prints of it either. So Brooks Davis, who works for him, who I talked to, he said essentially it's going to be an upscale of the DVD. So it probably won't look the best, but this will be the first time it will ever be on Blu-ray, and it will be available in this box set. And they are having a Valentine's Day sale. Starts tomorrow, so everything will be on sale over there. So this might be the time to get this if you want this at the cheapest point.
Now, is he going to sign this one like he did the first 100 or so of the Puppet Master ones? I hope, because otherwise I can't really. I hope, because here's my reason. I love the box set. I do. But I cannot justify spending $125 on 4 movies that I already own for one movie in a box and a little figure. So I think there's also a little figure that comes with this too.
Yeah.
See if I can
I was kind of hoping they send me one for free, but
yeah, right? No kidding. If you know a guy, put in a good word for me.
Yeah, I'll be like, hey, we'll review it on
Here's
the
the figure. There we go. Okay.
Yeah, the Radu.
Yeah, so I mean, it's not like he's not, but these are just re-releases of the first Blu-rays that came out. Part 4 is the only one, and it comes with Vampire Journal as well.
Yes.
So it's I think 6 movies altogether.
Yeah,
I'm not mistaken.
The Vampire Chronicles or whatever.
Or Vampire Chronicles, that's what it is. Yes.
Yeah, they all connect. I was actually going to bring the 5th one on, not to here soon. I watched it not too long ago.
What's weird is I think they're, and this is what I'm asking around about. I wonder if there wasn't a foreign scan of this film, because I know a couple people have talked about these movies before, and I swear somebody has sent me a digital version of Part 4, and it was like I don't know if it was an upscaled DVD or if it was a film scan, but I think it looked okay from what I remember, because a lot of the earlier full moon scans don't look all that great anyway. I think partially because I have a few nowadays they just use a lot of the same scans when they do these, but I have for instance Highlander and a couple other movies, Highlander 3 and a couple other movies are completely different scans from another country than what we got here. And the quality varies and looks different. And that's just because they have their own film print over there or whatever. And it's not from a negative, but it's from a film print. And that's all the only difference is, but it's just lesser quality or whatever. But
they typically,
so I was curious if that happened, but these movies are made for home video. The only reason there would be a film print that in existence is if they released it in theaters in other countries, which could have happened. But I think Full Moon would have dug farther for a print if that's the case.
Yeah. That's just all he told me, which I'm hoping I don't think I'm saying anything he wasn't allowed to say, but he said the negatives were just not available to them. That's why out of all the ones that's been released, it's one that's the hardest to get. So
it also depends on when it was shot. Because I know they started shooting a lot of their films on digital cameras and stuff like that at a certain point. I think even before they were done it.
Cost effective for them.
Yeah, but I could be wrong. Anyway, there was that. I figured you were going to bring it up, so I didn't want to.
It slipped my mind because I told you about it after I learned about it, so I was just like, did I tell somebody or not? Yeah, it slipped my mind.
We got to look at the Mean Girls.
The Mean Girls thing came out.
Yeah, let me bring that up here. Which interesting for what it is. It's going to be kind of a redo of the Steelbook, only it's a slip cover, and it's going to have a pink 4K Blu-ray.
Case.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and Johnny Handsome starring Mickey Rourke.
Oh, yeah.
4K from Kino. So, yeah. I think that's about it. A little more than I anticipated, actually.
I made an announcement. I did post. What was it? But I think we covered that last week. So hang on here. Yeah, I don't think I have anything this week. Okay. Yeah, I think we're good.
Okay.
Unless I remember something I forgot. You already mentioned Red.
Oh, the Rad is getting another release?
Red, R-E-D.
Oh, Red. I thought you said Rad. I was like, didn't Kino or Vinegar already do the 4K that one?
Blu-ray's out of it now. I think Mill Creek or something like that.
Yeah, I got the Steelbook Blu-ray of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks good for what it is.
I'm sure it's from the 4K scan.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was one that cost me back in the day. I'm glad I got it when I did. Well, there was those supposed Godzilla -1 steelbooks, but I don't know how sure that thing that is.
I'm waiting for the announcement.
Oh, that was the thing I posted. Turbine is doing Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas in Germany.
Oh yeah. I did see that.
And here's the thing that tripped my balls. Okay, this thing is supposed to have a director's cut on the Blu-ray, and I'm pretty sure I don't have that
on your set.
Yeah, and it's also supposed to have full synchronization for the first time, meaning I think the audio. So I don't know if it's been released before and we just didn't have the audio or something, I guess, because that means they probably paid for the music. But yeah, like I've been trying to find out more about this, so then I have to compare it to my Arrow set because it's 3 discs.
Yeah.
And Turbine always goes all out.
They do.
Yeah. See, and I think the director's cut is only on Blu-ray, but I could even be wrong about that. Because they always go all out. I can't read German all that well.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, if I had the money, I would have bought that amazing Knight Rider.
Oh no, actually, this is in English on the site. Okay, it doesn't say where the director's cut is located, so I would it's in a bonus material. So I'm just going to assume
it's like
that it's on the Blu-ray. Yeah. So I didn't even know there was a director's cut of Fear and Loathing.
Yeah, neither did I.
I mean, I know Terry Gilliam famously generally has movies taken away from him and, has other versions, but this is one where he actually, the studio and him seem pretty happy about the movie from my recollection. Yeah. So be interesting to see what's different.
Yes.
But yeah, I'll check that one out. Let anybody know if there's, because anything I've gotten from Turbine, holy shit! Like they're like the Cadillac or whatever. Actually, I guess what would be a Volkswagen? What's their fancy version of their vehicle over there?
Isn't it Volkswagen?
Yeah, but there's a specific model I'm trying to think of. Maybe I don't know. Anyway, Andre will say it best when he says like the Germans know how to do Blu-ray. Just like everything else, it's all perfection.
That's good. That's good. I like that.
Yeah.
It's like I said, if I would have literally had the money, I would have bought that amazing Knight Rider set because that looked incredible. And I think that came from Turbine.
Okay, I think I have it here. So I think I just found this here. I think they call it the Gonzo edition. It runs at 1781, which means it's probably open matte. And 1080p full HD, it says. So it's on the Blu-ray.
No, there you
go. Yeah, I think so. Because they got the image format, the movie, which would be, they don't have a title there. It just has the aspect ratio, and then same thing with 1080p, same info, and then it says Gonzo. Unless Gonzo's that could be a documentary, actually.
That sounds actually familiar.
And I don't think I have that either. So I'm like, fuckers, I might still have to get this. God, I love
physical media.
And physical media. It's like I got to rebuy this again.
Do I need to eat or do I want?
Right. Valentine's Day is this month. I don't need to get laid.
Find somebody that'll buy it for you for Valentine's Day.
Nah, right. I'll put some feelers out there, see if I can get my hands on it. But I don't know.
That's what I need, a date for Valentine's Day.
No, but the handful of Turbine titles I do have are just amazing box sets. Like the Frighteners one I've shown off. I think I showed off my Werewolf in London one.
Oh,
and, yeah. And they did the Texas Chainsaw one, stuff like that. Yeah.
Oh, I almost forgot. I'm glad I remembered that. Bronson Wright Wolf sent us a $2 super chat. I'm sorry, Bronson, I forgot.
Oh,
there. He said, "What is your favorite Michael Myers moment?" Before we'll get into more stuff here. Rook, I don't know if you've seen any. I was going to start with you.
Trick or treat, motherfucker!
Oh, I hate that. I hate that scene.
I'm thinking of anything that's more Freddy Krueger, so I don't know.
Oh, that's a tough question. Probably, I always liked when, just as a visual, like when what's her face is getting choked by the phone line, PJ Souls.
Oh yeah, PJ Souls, yeah.
And she pulls on the sheet, and everything falls off, and it's Michael. Just that shot, and then him
Yeah.
picking up the phone right afterwards, and it's just that icon, that, and of course when he nails the other boyfriend up to the wall and just does
Oh
the head
yeah,
tilt.
that's what I was going to say. That's one
I
of my
figured I
favorite
didn't want to steal that from anybody, but
Yeah,
yeah,
that's where
sorry.
he nailed him. That, and I would also say in part 4, when they're at the gas station and when Loomis is chasing him, and it's a great shot where it's Michael just standing back in the garage, and he doesn't have his mask on. He's got the bandages on his head, and like the way the camera zooms in on him, and the way Loomis sees him, and it's like this very intense scene. I always kind of like that scene. Always kind of like the scene in H2O. I mean, I know he does it in part 2, but I like the scene in H2O where he comes with one arm and he like lowers himself down behind that guy.
It was shot much better than that one.
Much better in H2O, I believe. Yeah. So I was like, those are probably some of my favorite.
other franchise moment is not even Michael related. It's the moment in H2O, believe it or not, and it's just because mostly it's a callback to the first film, and that's one of the reasons why I love it. And it's just even thinking about it now, I've got goosebumps from it. It's right after she tells the kids to get the hell out of here. And it's that wide shot of her and she screams, Michael! And you get the score swells up behind. Just that moment when I was in the theater, the whole theater went, yeah! Like it was like we were ready. It was like a fucking just everybody was just like it erupted at that moment in the theater. It's like there's only a few moments that I remember the audience really getting involved with the movie, and that was one of them. Like Independence Day was another one. Somewhat Star Wars when I went to go see it in the Orpheum, but that's because you had like 2,000 screaming Star Wars fans together. But yeah. When Yoda first showed up and said, and did his thing with Dooku or whatever. Yeah. That was a moment you couldn't hear shit for like 5 minutes.
Yeah. That's true.
Just everybody's just screaming, just like
I can't believe
and then he pulled out the lightsaber, and it just like when you thought it couldn't go high enough, like the room was like already like here at this fever pitch, and he pulls out the lightsaber and it just goes even that latch. Then he starts flipping around and it just went. You can feel the room deflate, and everybody's just like, wait, no.
That's what he does.
Why?
But great question, Bronson. I love questions like that. I do, because it makes you really think about these movies that we've seen a million times.
Rookie, you seen any of them, or?
Yeah, have you seen any of them, Rookie?
Was this Halloween?
Yeah, the Halloween movies.
I've seen the first one.
Okay. Any favorite moments from that?
Well, no, so the context was I watched it with like Justin and like 4 other people, and we're like, kind of talking over it here and there. So it didn't stick with me as much because of the distractions. So I'd have to rewatch it like without any of that to remember specific things.
All right. Well, great question, Bronson. And since we now we'll get into everything, I think we got the news out of the way. Rook, I know you got the less tonight. So Tom, why don't you go first, since you got the bulk of the movies tonight? So whatever you want to start with, whatever you're pumped to show off first, have at it.
Sadie just started going off outside.
Of course.
I'll keep this first one quick. Since you talked about it last week, I got a chance to check out Joe's apartment. And like you, I agree. This definitely probably comes from the negative, and possibly even a 4K scan. Looks really good. Even some of the special effects shots for the time looked pretty good. I mean, clearly they clearly just, it's the scan of the film that they put out of the time. So they're not like going back to the original effects or anything like that. I mean, you can tell they're not major great, but for what they did, they were all right. And like you, I noticed all the funny names that are in the list of people who play
the roaches,
the different separate roaches. But you also know what's funny. I didn't realize this until I dig a little deeper. A lot of the singing roaches. Do you know who plays the singing roaches?
I'm sure
they're actually separate voices. Well, you've seen Carmen Sandiego, right?
Yes, I have.
Remember Rockapella?
Yes.
Where
they do the voice
world they do a couple of the guys from Rockapella are doing the singing parts of the
That's funny. I was just watching them record the song for Carmen Sandiego on YouTube, the old clip of them, that they have on there. Oh man,
Yeah, and
that's
what's also funny is being that this is MTV's first movie, and it
Mhm.
didn't have a soundtrack, even though
Right?
you had a ton of original material and even like stuff like Green Day and a bunch of other bands at the time. It never
Mhm.
had an official soundtrack.
It's insane because they have a lot of great music in that, and it's weird to me. It's like, there's got to be stuff that I mean, like,
Well, it's
why didn't we get
MTV.
exactly? And it's MTV, and why didn't we get the short on there? It's it's weird that there was not a lot of stuff done with that movie, especially being it with its first MTV movie. You'd think they want to capitalize on some of that. I don't know. It's weird, but it does. The movie looks great. I had fun with it. I had not seen it in years. I laughed and I enjoyed it.
The
So
original short is on YouTube. I don't know if there's any
Mhm.
more than the date short. I can't remember. Because I swear, I think there's it's been so many years. I could have swore there was like a few shorts. Maybe I'm wrong because they're only like little 3-minute deal. It was a 3-minute deal that I found, but I
yeah,
guess there was only one that I could find on YouTube. It's when he has the date.
yeah. I did. Wasn't it like? Uh, didn't they just like space it out like a minute here and a minute there and a minute there or something like that? I don't know. I don't remember. It's been a while.
Maybe that could have been it too, but like I could have swore there was more of them because I could have swore like because the movie from my memory, my time, because at the time I remember because MTV pumped the shit out of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I do swear I've seen all the original short, and I swear it was longer than that. Because I think there's like 2 or 3 bits in the movie where the movie is just basically the bits in the short just spread out, right? Like they don't give you the background, like that's all added in the movie, obviously, like how we got the apartment and all that shit, and
Yeah.
expanding on the girlfriend and stuff like that. But I swear that some of the like half the songs I remember hearing before the movie. You know what I mean? Like they wrote a lot of those songs before the movie. Like Funky Towel, I think was one of the only new ones in the movie.
It's so many great bits in that movie, I swear.
But the gimmick for the little shorts was that because this is what I remember at the time, and this is why I remember all this shit because they made a big deal out of it. The movie was mostly CGI. The shorts, those are real cockroaches in the shorts, but they're just wired up like little stop motion guys. So these guys were using real cockroaches for this crap. I remember them talking about that back in the day about those little shorts, and that's what first got people talking about them because they were funny. Right? Like they're basically the same thing that's in the movie. They're just kind of like the cheap dime store version of it. You know what I mean? Like, they're fun, and the movie itself is fun and cute. And I love how the movie does not take itself seriously at all.
Yeah, you know what it is. Yeah.
Even at the very end when the bad guys just like they set it up to where it's like, no, at no point did he ever really kind of tell those guys to do anything specifically, and they were kind of lying to him. So like when the dad just kind of takes that random turn, spoilers, at the end of the movie, it isn't out of character completely. He's just an oblivious cartoon character.
Yeah, they're just like completely lost. And even like when they like fall down the sewer, like the way they do it, it's like very Looney Tunes, which is I understand why they give you those Looney Tune cartoons on that before you get because it relates to
and the one specifically because it's about the cockroaches.
Yes, about the lady in red or whatever.
But like you can tell right away from when you start the movie and that lady who falls off, they kick off.
Oh yeah, when she goes down the steps and stuff.
She's the one that ends up dying outside because that's the joke. But like it's like a Looney Tunes cartoon from beginning to end. I forgot one thing we were supposed to, but I got to bring it up here. I totally spaced this out, and I was just reminded about it like randomly. But because it was Warner Archive, and I'm like, oh yeah, Warner Brothers put out a deal this week.
Oh, did they?
Did you hear about this?
No, I did not.
Bill Hunt reported on it.
Oh,
let's see if I can bring this up here. It's an interesting bit of news. Been submitted to by a few different readers. Warner Brothers Discovery Home Media has been polling members of their A-list email newsletter, which I can't believe I'm not a part of, and their interest in catalog films people might like to see remastered for 4K.
Mm-hmm.
Among those titles are, so keep in mind, some of these we've already heard have 4K scans of, and some I can't believe haven't already been released, including the third title I'm about to mention, but among those are Blade 2 and 3, Caddyshack, which I can't believe has not been.
Yeah,
that's like one of Warner Brothers' biggest sellers.
Yeah,
the Conjuring films are obvious ones.
Mhm.
Dances with Wolves.
And
I didn't know
another
they
big
had the rights to that, but I guess they
Yeah.
do. Dirty Harry, which we've talked about. I want all
Mhm.
5.
Yes.
Friday, I've heard about. Friday, I've heard has
Yeah.
a 4K scan.
I've heard that too.
Lethal Weapon films, another one we've
Mhm.
talked about. The Nightmare on Elm Street film.
Yes, Nightmare on Elm Street.
And One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest and the Terminator, which the Terminator we've also heard about. And I didn't know they had the rights to that one too. I don't know how they wound up with that.
Yeah.
Somehow through that book, because that was under MGM still. And
Which
so
is
was Dances with Wolves.
That's crazy. But yeah, I actually did see this. Just when you started reading it, I remembered.
Now,
yeah, I heard
there's another caveat to this, because Warner and Amazon have been releasing shit together, and Amazon has been releasing their movies through Warner Brothers. So it could be that they're just asking for those because they're MGM titles, and those are the top 2 titles that they've been planning on, and we've already heard have 4K scans from MGM. Because Terminator's had a 4K scan for a while now. In fact, the second release, there's 2 Blu-ray releases of Terminator, for those who don't know. The earlier release is from an older scan. The second release is from a 4K scan and has new color timing on it.
Yeah.
And the big difference between the 2 releases otherwise is special features, and then the old release, I think, has the mono track on it, and the new release does not.
Yeah.
So if you want to keep the old, it's like a ping pong. It needs a release this year. It's the anniversary. We better get a lot of these movies. Like Nightmare on Elm Street definitely needs to come out for the anniversary.
It's the 40th anniversary. We got
Blazing Saddles better come out this year, because that's another one I've heard has a 4K scan. And now there's also controversy going around about that. I don't know if you heard about that. We covered that the other day on the show. Well, evidently on the streaming service of HBO Max and HBO Max only, because it's in the Turner Classic Movies section, some chick comes out for the first 3 minutes and basically gives you the entire plot of the movie to explain why it's so controversial.
For real?
Yeah, it's a trigger warning, but it's a process to give you the entire plot of the film.
I hate that when they do that stupid crap.
Yeah, it's bad. Anyway, so that being said, Warner Brothers, though, back around to the thing. Joe's Apartment, glad they put it on Warner Archives. It could have been nicer with some more special features, considering the price. They could have brought it down a little bit. It would have been nice to just, or at least throw some special features on it for that price. But it was only like $20, I think.
Yeah, it's only
Turner Classic has always done that, but this is different. Like, this is more than just a little trivia before the movie. This is literally like a laying out of, you're going to be triggered possibly.
Yeah.
In so many words.
Oh, so I hate that crap. I hate when they do that stupid shit.
And just it drones on for like 3 minutes, and I'm like listening to it. I'm like, the only thing that chick said in that whole thing that she should have said before this, that Turner Classic would have said before, and that was just talking about Richard Pryor's involvement, and that's it.
Yeah.
None of the editorializing, none of the explaining for the context of the time. Because let me tell you something. Yes, we already understand that this movie would not be able to be made today. In fact, they asked Mel Brooks about that. How you feel if how do you feel if they tried to make Blazing Saddles today? They couldn't make it today. What, you don't think, or something like that? And he's like, they couldn't make it because we couldn't make it back then. He said,
well, that's the one good thing we don't have to worry about is they'll never try to remake Blazing Saddles, and if they do, it would be some kind of PC bullcrap movie that nobody would watch.
You know, it's funny, and I brought it up before, and then I remembered out of the blue the other aspect of this, because I remember as a kid when that movie was on TV, that was the first time I saw it was on television, and they left every N-word in on television. They didn't cut the N-word out. They did cut the farts out, though.
Which is weird.
Yeah, can't have that.
They didn't cut the whole scene. You might as well just cut the whole scene. They don't do that. Because I remember, because I have a vivid memory of my mom explaining to me what the hell's going on, because you just have the bunch of the cowboys eating beans and leaning forward with no sound effects of the fart. Every other sound. My mom
What
just,
is it?
what's going on? And I'm like, why are they just sitting there? Like,
what's going on? What is this supposed to be?
So then jump to years later, the farts, no problem. They can have that now, but the N-word's cut out. But the funny thing I bring that up for is I remember back in the day, the big hubbub about the movie wasn't the N-word or even the context of the film. It was the fact that it was the first time a fart was in a major motion picture. Like, people forget that. Like, that was the big thing that movie rode on for years. That's why it's called Blazing Saddles. Like, that's the whole point.
It just hit Rookie. Oh, that's
Yeah,
why.
I remember. I'm like, we have gone so far from the mothership that I remember that we had gone past the controversy that could even been associated with the film. And the big controversy of the time was people farted.
Yeah.
How dare they?
It's kind of like Psycho, right? Like everybody raises a big stink about the toilet scene, right? It's like you got a chick
which is
being
funny.
systematically murdered. Like what the hell? Like you're worried about a toilet?
And you get people saying, "I think I saw her boobs." I think, and you didn't.
You didn't. No.
And everybody's just upset because she flushed the toilet in the movie. It's like, really?
They were a little upset about the undressing, but it was the toilet flush because they're
the toilet got more than that
on a movie before. So yeah,
was flushing a toilet quite risque at the time?
They never shown a toilet in a movie before.
Yeah.
It was one of those things you didn't do. You didn't show. You didn't.
Was it intentional to not show a toilet in things before?
It was considered taboo. Yeah, it was like one of those things you just didn't do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's kind of like how if you watch Star Trek, you ever notice nobody ever goes to the bathroom.
But I mean, that's like a movie thing in general. Where
exactly. Well, that's how they got around that. He just didn't bring it up. But, and this is how Hitchcock got around it. He knew what he was doing. He was being titillating by showing a toilet in a movie. And a bathroom like it's supposed to be shown, and a chick getting undressed, and all the voyeuristic nature of it all.
Yeah,
but he's like, well, it's integral to the plot.
But that's the thing is like we hear that, and it's like knowing that she doesn't show anything. The most she shows is her belly button, and which was a big no as well back then. They wouldn't even let I Dream of Jeannie show her belly button.
They made a big stink about her being in bed with another
and that
guy
too,
in the beginning of the movie too. Yeah.
So like we think about this stuff and like the controversy surrounding flushing a toilet, woman in the bathroom, getting ready to get a shower, and we think like, well, that's tame today, but then we
fast forward to 1998. We got a movie where cockroaches are swimming in the toilet and sinking funky towel,
right? In a dead woman's bra.
In a dead woman's bra, no less. Yes. And Funky Towel's a damn good song, though.
Yeah, Funky Towel.
Towel got the funk. They even got like a remix, full-on produced version at the end of the movie, and I'm just sitting here going. Because I'm like, how did I never have this soundtrack? And I went looking for it, and I found out this movie never got a soundtrack. And I'm like, how? How do you not? That's like the one no-brainer thing it feels like with this movie, right? Like MTV, Joe's Apartment. You got Green Day. You got all these, bands on the thing. You've got a whole set of songs that they sing on their own. It almost feels like a no-brainer to put out a soundtrack. Right, Beavis and Butthead had an album before they had the movie. Like, what the hell?
It's true. It's weird. And it's like I said. Also, it's like the only MTV movie to ever be released by Geffen and Warner Brothers. Not everything else has been Paramount, which is crazy. So,
and I figure that's why it's through Warner Brothers because Geffen had his deal through Warner, so that's why that makes sense. Yeah. But that also can explain why we didn't get any of the. I can understand that why they had a problem getting a hold of the Joe's Apartment shorts because those would be owned directly by MTV / Paramount.
Paramount, yeah.
And so there is a separation there, but look, you could still. Did you notice the trailer? There's a weird bit about the trailer. Did you watch the trailer?
I did not. I watched some of the cartoons, but I did not watch the trailer.
I think they fucked up.
Oh, really?
Because I went and checked online and I'm like, there's no real reason I can see why they did this. But you remember the Mummy trailer when it came out and they fucked up and put the wrong one out there and it didn't have the music? It was just like, and no sound effects or whatever. And it was just Tom Cruise going, Watch the trailer on Joe's Apartment. It's missing 2 soundtracks. It's missing the music track and it's missing the other bug track. Because go watch it online and it's all there, but you watch it now and like you've got the voiceover and the main voice track, but it's missing the secondary track and the music. And I'm like, okay, maybe they had to remove the music. So I went and checked online. No, it's none of the music seems like it'd be anything that would be extreme or hard to get, the rights for. It doesn't make sense. And as I'm going along, I'm realizing not only are they missing the music, they're missing all the secondary bug sounds too, like all the other voices and stuff popping up. So I think they fucked up and missed a track. So you have that version on there. And maybe it's been that way since the old DVD days and they just never fixed it. I never owned the DVD. I never bought it because I had the tape back in the day and I just never came back around to it. But no, I'm surprised that they didn't do a better job with this. But I think Rookie would like this movie if he hadn't seen it.
Rook, I
already.
think you would get a laugh at it. I did watch some of the cartoons, is what I did. I never watched the trailer, but I did watch some of the cartoons that was on there. Interesting. But real quick before we move on, it says, "What if Richard Pryor was Bart, better or not?" in Blazing Saddles.
I don't think he'd have been the same.
Yeah, I don't think.
I think he would have been better as like one of his buddies, and I'm surprised they didn't just let him be like one of the secondary guys in like the earlier part of the movie and stuff like that, like in the cart scene.
Yeah,
because Cleavon Little, Richard Pryor's funny, but Richard Pryor's not suave and debonair.
Yeah,
and you need somebody like a Billy D. Williams type to play this role.
Yeah, he needed to be a little smooth, especially when he gets to say, like, it is true.
Well, not just that. It's like, Richard is a bit abrasive.
Yeah.
And he does not evoke that smoothness like Cleavon Little or a Billy D. Williams type would have. Like, Billy D. Williams is the only other one I could think of that could possibly have played the role with the same kind of, snap to it. Because Richard, on the other hand, he's a lot of, kind of stuff, and he gets wild, and he doesn't fit that role. And then we go back, and now a lot of people are saying most of the stuff that he wrote for was Mongo. Like, that's the weird thing. I don't know what's what now.
Yeah.
But I guess he just loved Mongo. So like all the Mongo scenes are all his stuff, I guess, mainly. So
yeah, it's interesting. Go figure. Anyway. Yeah, but I don't think, I mean, it would have been different. It probably still would have been funny, but I think the guy that played it, what was his name again? Cleavon Little. I think Cleavon Little was probably the best choice for that.
Carl Weathers could have pulled it off considering, but I don't think he was a movie star yet at that point. I think he was still in football.
Yeah. All right. Well, we actually went on a little longer about that than I thought we would.
You want me to throw in another one here while I'm at it? I can. Otherwise,
you can.
Why don't you guys go? We waste a long time. Why don't you guys go?
Almost an hour in, one take, 15 movies, and our takes.
Because I'll combine a few of these anyway. So.
Okay. Do you want to go, Rook, or you want me to go?
You can go.
All right. Well, speaking of Warner Brothers releases, but not a Warner Brother movie, and a movie we mentioned not too long ago, I went back and watched it, and I gotta say, I had a freaking blast watching this movie, Virtuosity, with Denzel Washington and Russell Crowe.
Baby Russell Crowe.
Man, I was watching this movie and I was thinking Nicolas Cage could have played both of these roles.
It would have been a better movie. No, I have not seen that since it come out because I just remember not liking it all that much.
I don't know what it is.
Watch it again. Maybe I was just in the wrong mood.
Maybe, I don't know, but I loved this movie, and I think I'm actually going to probably do a video on this because this movie, as I was watching it, it's ahead of its freaking time. It's like I never even realized how ahead of a time it is. Okay, the movie was made in '95, but it takes place in the year 1999. Get this shit. All right, Russell Crowe's character is an AI program. Right, they're using virtual reality glasses like you see now, like Apple is selling and stuff. Okay, and Russell Crowe, and even they even have like a AI woman, like you see it on Instagram, like an AI woman that's amassing all these followers. Okay, so they got that. It's like almost what's going on now with the AI and fake people and everything. And then he comes into the real world because they used nanotech to create a body for him and put his module inside of it. And that's how he gets it into the real world. And he wants all eyes on him. So he's literally trying to go viral. And it even gets to a point in the movie where it's like, it's supposed to be TV, but it feels more like what we're doing, where they're gauging the number of people online watching the program. Because that's what he wants. He wants all eyes because he wants to where there's the most people around that he can kill and have all this attention. And same guy that directed Lawnmower. Better special effects in this movie than in Lawnmower Man. Even though it still got some of that really cheesy, bad 90s CGI AI, where they're like in the virtual reality world and stuff like that. But better special effects than that. But I had a freaking blast with this movie. I would love to see here if you rewatch it, Tom, and see if you liked it, because I liked it. I thought it was fun. I don't know why, but seriously, no. I was watching this and I was thinking Nicolas Cage could have played both roles. He literally could have played both roles because, okay, Denzel Washington's character is a cop who is in prison, who's been sentenced to prison for 17 years because he was chasing this serial killer, the serial bomber, and who was killing people, and he killed Denzel Washington's wife and daughter, and then Denzel Washington sort of went all equalizer on them and busted in, sort of like Michael Myers, and just started killing everybody where this guy was. And
Punisher before the Punisher, I forgot.
Yeah, it's like Punisher, and he comes in, he like kills him, and he accidentally kills a camera crew as well. And so he's been arrested and sentenced to prison for 17 years. And then Russell Crowe's character is essentially Nicholas. He's essentially what's his name? Nicolas Cage from Face Off. Castor Troy.
Wait,
he's essentially
I like
Troy.
this idea. We can do this still.
Right? You could literally remake this movie with
he was
Nicolas
a good
Cage
cop. They thought they could make him better.
I was always a good cop. I did my job.
No.
He was framed, and now they've rebuilt him with AI. I'm you. Ha ha!
Exactly. Could be really good.
No! He's me, but he's not me. Now the clock is ticking to save his name.
It's literally, you literally could do that. You seriously. And
Nicolas Cage and Nicolas Cage in The Perfect Cop.
Exactly. Because it's like Russell Crowe's AI character is basically they constructed the perfect serial killer based on all the serial killers in the world, and like whatever who is the baddest one out, and that became his personality. He's essentially acting like, that's why I say he's like essentially Castor Troy. When he's like, the way he jokes, the way he laughs, and the way he like says stupid shit, like he cuts off his finger when he comes out into the real world, and he tastes it because he like, it's like blue nano stuff, and he goes, that's a great year, that's a great vintage, and then he touches glass, and then his finger goes back because like the nanotech uses the glass like because it's silicone to help rebuild the body, so that's what it does. But like he literally, like the shit he says and the way he acts is like, that's why I kept picturing Nicolas Cage all the time. He like hams it up. Russell Crowe hams it up in this movie. It's like you get to the point, he has some of the greatest, cheesiest one-liners in the movie, and you get to the point like where you kind of just want to keep seeing him on screen. And I just had a blast with this movie. I don't know, and it's like really felt like it was. I was watching it, and it's like, man, did they call 2024? Did they really call? Because like, speaking of some stuff that's happened on YouTube lately, if you know about somebody trying to stream and show off something doing, it reminded me a lot of that. And I don't know, I really enjoyed this movie. I understand if nobody else likes it. I see that Steven wasn't a fan. I get it. If you don't like it, I get it. But I don't know. I love the cheesiness of it. I love the campiness of it. I love Denzel's performance. He's playing it like freaking Denzel, but he's also playing it like you would see Nicolas Cage as a straight cop. And then, I don't know. It was just a fun movie. I had a blast. With it.
He wouldn't play by their rules.
He would.
So they wanted to make him in their own image.
I don't know how. I can't explain it. But they made another me. This isn't me. I'm a good guy.
Coming this summer, The Perfect Cop, starring Nicolas Cage and Nicolas Cage.
I didn't want to laugh because I wanted that to play perfectly. Oh man!
Excellent.
Yes.
I got a bunch of
Back. Blah 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 blah. Blah. Yeah, I got some of those. The clock is ticking. Now, he's on a time clock to save the world and his name.
It's literally called Trailer Sounds.
Yeah. This is awesome, though. But seriously.
Yeah, anyway.
Yeah, no, seriously. That would be a movie. I would pay to see that movie. It'd be like the Van Damme movie.
Yeah, it's like he's like a Serpico kind of cop, right? And then like the bad guys are the guys that he's getting close to these like senators or governors and cops who have like this dirty money going on or whatever. You just come up with something. He's getting close, right? So they're like, well, we got to take him down. So at first you think it's just videos that they're making, the fake videos, but then you find out, oh no, they've literally made a new him.
right? You know, and but it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, and you know, and they're gonna try to eliminate him, and like, yeah, it's all this. Like,
Yeah, it's crazy because
I think
I
it'd be
don't
cool.
know. Yeah, that would
They
be a
should do
cool
that.
movie. It does, and this does sort of have face-off vibes to it. This virtuosity, it does sort of have face-off vibes to it, to the way they compare with like
That's
the
the
way they
twist at the
contrast.
end. Is the big governor behind it is John Travolta.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
You got too close, okay? We couldn't have you take down the whole system.
I'm the one that programmed him.
I made you.
You made me. I made you.
Yeah. So what do
But
we got
no.
here?
Yeah. We'll go to Rook with it. But I honestly, Tom, give it another shot because I loved it.
I'll try it. Yeah.
I don't know. It was just cheesy, fun, campy goodness. It's like it reminded me of like an '80s action movie set in the '90s mixed with Face Off, and I don't know. I just had fun with it. But
I could easily give it a try.
Yeah,
it was just. I just always remember it being one of my least favorite Denzel films. For
I could understand that because like I said, it's not really doesn't feel like a Denzel movie. It feels like somebody else's movie. That's what it feels like. But go ahead, Brooke. What do you got first? We'll go ahead with your first pick now.
Okie dokie. I picked out an oldie here of Jaws, which I saw
never
in the
heard of
last
it.
couple of years. Of course, yes. Well, it's
That
funny
the guy
because
from
I actually didn't watch any movies this week, so I'm picking ones I'm familiar enough with. So,
Just when you thought it was safe to go back in the water.
yes,
You know, I give him credit for having the nice, simple theatrical poster on the DVD there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta give him credit.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, and I'm one of the few that thinks that Jaws 2 is also pretty neat with it, especially
You're not alone.
it's like, what are the odds that there's a great white shark or there's a huge shark in the water over here? Unlikely. What happened once? All right, what's the odds it's going to happen again? And then it's like, okay. I did not see Jaws 3 or 4. I think I attempted to watch Jaws 3. I intended to watch all of them, but just seeing the intro of Jaws 3, I was like, no, I'm not watching a movie like this. No, thank you. No, thank you. The 3D was too bizarre. But the first Jaws, yeah, I liked it. It's good. It's funny enough for me, for people that don't know, like I grew up with Tremors, and and then when I saw Jaws for the first time, I was like, wow, this reminds me of Tremors, even though, of course, Jaws is first. But from my experience of stuff, it reminded me of that, which means Tremors obviously pulled from this in a way. I don't know if it was intentional when they made Tremors to try to, because they didn't reveal the graboids until later. So with Jaws,
in fact,
Jaws
the original
was
title of Tremors is Land Shark. Was it Land Shark?
Land Shark. It was Land Sharks.
Yeah,
it was.
Yeah, they wanted it to be kind of like Jaws, but on land, essentially.
Yeah.
At first, but no. So Jaws was the first one, of course, that did that, and everybody knows. Yeah, the shark didn't work very well, so they had to limit their use of it, which turned out to be freaking awesome for it. When watching other shark movies, because again, before I saw Jaws, I'd seen tons of sci-fi shark movies, and shark movies are usually really bad. So it was nice to see one that was good. And it's like
Jaws
one
is
of
the granddaddy of them all.
Was it the first movie based on a shark
movie,
or was there any before that?
Yeah,
not really. I mean, I don't even know if there was anything for they might have been one shark or two in a movie before that, but like when Jaws came out, sharks we still didn't even know all that much about sharks.
Like I can assume James Bond, but I'm just assuming based on Austin.
You had like the Batman bit, like with the shark repellent, and maybe a couple other things here or there, but you never had an entire movie built around a shark like this. And of course, I'm sure you're aware of that it's loosely based on a true story, right?
Yeah, I feel like you might have been there for one of the watch parties of this. I don't remember.
Yeah, because in the
I think you told me about that.
New Jersey, I think it was 1937 or 36, somewhere in that region. They had 5 or 6 shark attacks all in the span of like 4 days. And the movie basically is the same kind of thing. Like they had somebody got killed earlier on, but she wasn't found till later. And then they had a boy, a fisherman, and another guy, I think, got killed in a matter of 4 days. And the last attack was like the worst because it all happened in front of people. And it's just like that attack that happened in Jaws where the one guy got bitten trying to save Mike in the river part.
Yeah.
When the little Easter egg part or whatever, because that was what it was kind of like, because it was in this little lake, and then for years they blamed it on a great white shark. And then come to find out here in more recent decades that it was probably most likely a bull shark, because not only are bull sharks more aggressive and known to attack humans, they also have the ability to swim in fresh water, which was the one thing that nobody could ever really explain about how it could be a great white, because great whites will not swim in fresh water. So
Yeah.
yeah,
It's
so
funny.
that was
Great
why
whites are actually really fragile, but based on their environment, technically.
they're actually pretty
need to-
timid, and they're not as aggressive as
Yeah.
obviously most people think they are.
Well, it's like they need a lot to survive. Like I know that some people try to put sharks in
I
tanks
think there's
before,
only been a
and
hand.
they just die all the time. They do not do well.
I don't remember the exact statistic, but of all the shark attacks that we've ever had, especially of the lethal ones, because the lethal ones are even smaller percentage, because like most people actually survive shark attacks, believe it or not.
Mhm.
Out of like 10 people that actually get a shark attack, I think, and we got to go for like years, because like there's only a couple of shark attacks a year.
Sometimes you lose a limb, but you'll
Yeah.
live.
I
But
feel like unless you get
out
yourself
of
caught in a
actual
huge
mortality, I'm sure that great whites are actually only, I think they're only responsible for like a small percentage. We're talking like 5 to 10% of actual
Yeah.
attacks and deaths. And I think I can only think of one or two offhand that were actually great white. So yeah, other times it's generally a tiger shark or a bull shark.
Yeah, which makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Jaws on its surface is the greatest movie of all time, and I'm glad you brought it on, because
Yep,
it's
I
fun.
like it. I don't think it's like it's not one of my favorite movies, but it is good.
out.
Like its quality is
Yeah.
undeniable. Well, no, it's just like, you know, in general, I guess I don't know. There hasn't been any shark movie or any water-based movie that I can think of that grabbed me that much. This one
Well-
grabbed me the most out of all of them, of course.
Well, now you got to watch Piranha.
Piranha.
That's the series. That's like the satire booby movie, right? Essentially,
The Joe Dante Piranha, not the remake Piranha, where they. I mean, that's the best part of the
That's
remake
the ads of
Piranha is
those.
where there's a bunch
The
of naked
ads of
chicks
those.
everywhere. But
What about Orca?
or Orca, yeah, Orca. That's a bad movie.
Devilfish. Oh, there was
yeah.
a ton of ripoffs. I've got like a handful or
Jaws.
more of the Jaws ripoffs.
Yeah.
There were so many Jaws ripoffs. In fact, there's a famous one that actually used scenes from Jaws and got sued.
Oh yeah, what was that? Cruel Jaws? Was that what we watched?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. We watched clips of that. That was hilarious.
They literally just lift scenes right out of Jaws.
Yeah, they did. Here's a question for you: who was the best actor in Jaws? Roy Scheider, Richard Dreyfuss, or Robert Shaw?
I don't know.
Roy Scheider is a Brody. He's the what was he? The sheriff, right? He was the sheriff, right? And then Richard Dreyfuss was the guy they called in to, the scientist. And then Robert Shaw was the guy who goes, "I'll catch the shark for you."
Oh, that guy.
Yeah,
I'll
Yeah, I don't
find him
know.
for 2.
I'll
I'll
find him.
catch him.
Yeah,
Kill him for 10.
great freaking character, man. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I would have to say
I
probably
don't want
Roy
no
or
partners.
Robert.
I don't need no first mates.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it's
do
one of
it
those
on
ones
my
where I
own.
can't just say like, that one was better. I don't know. They're all pretty good. I mean, I like the main actor probably the most because
I
That would
value
be
my
Roy
neck
Shaw.
more than
Is, but,
$500, Chief. I'll
Show
find
me
him for
the way
2.
to go home.
Catch him and kill him for 10. For that, you get the tail, the head, the whole damn thing.
Great. I love that guy. Love that character. Oh,
Never
Sharknado.
tell me my business again.
I hated Sharknado. It's so boring. Everybody sold it like it's so hilarious. I barely laughed. That Sharknado is abysmal to me.
And the best part of the movie isn't even have anything to do with the shark. It's when Robert Shaw tells you the Indianapolis story.
Oh yeah, on the boat.
I'll never put a life jacket on again.
Mm-hmm. Great.
Farewell and adieu to you fair Spanish ladies.
Yep. I just keep thinking of show me the way to go home. I'm
Boom,
tired
boom,
and I
boom.
want to go to bed.
I had a little drink about an hour ago,
There
and it went right to my head.
That's when it like really. I mean, the whole movie's good, but that's like when them three are on the boat and they're that scene like you're talking about when he tells
That
that
is the
story
best
and they're
scene.
singing. That is like that's when you're like really into like you've gotten to the point where you're like, I don't want to lose these characters, and you know something's going to happen. But this is amazing, incredible scene between these three guys at this moment in time.
I don't know
So
how many
good.
men they average about 10 an hour. I don't know how many shocks, maybe 1,000.
Mhm.
Sorry, I could. Oh, I love
I know, I know it's one of your
greatest
favorite
fucking
movies.
scene ever in a movie. Oh my God.
Great movie.
And you can tell because what's great about it is it's a scene where everything comes together and it's just before everything goes to hell, right?
Mhm.
It's because it is just before the last
Yeah, it's
attack, right?
right
Like
before it. Yeah.
before he goes in the water and then you have the final confrontation and all that business. So it is their last moment together, right? So and it's finally Hooper and you know
Mhm.
and him
And
have their kind
Brody.
of finally knock their shit off. You know, like
Yeah.
because Hooper finally has some respect for him, and he finally has a little respect for Hooper, and you know, you even kind of get it in the next scene after. He's like, "You think you can get this little needle in his skin if you get close enough?" You know, all that kind of stuff. He's
Yeah.
actually like, "Well, we've tried everything we got. Well, maybe this kid's right." You know, it's
Yeah.
just a great fucking film. Like, I
It
don't
is.
know.
It's a good one. It is really good. Well, there you go, Rook. You brought on something interesting.
Yes, something not uncommon,
There's
actually.
nothing not uncommon. All right. Anything else you want to say before we move on?
No.
All right. Tom, are you ready to show some more?
All right, let's see. Where should I go here? Since we were
Take it
talking about
off. Take it off. No.
serial killers, well, last week I watched Red Dragon, so of course, not to give a shout out, I had to watch Manhunter.
Of course. I love
And
that
I thought
movie.
I swore I had the Anchor Bay DVD of this, but maybe I sold it considering I think on the DVD there wasn't any special features. It was just the two versions of the movie.
Mhm.
But this has the theatrical cut in HD and the director's cut was in HD with Laserdisc inserts from the,
Mhm.
which is only
And
like
later.
4 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
But no,
I
I
don't think
know
I've
it's
ever
the.
seen the Sorry, I didn't catch you.
No, you're fine.
I was gonna say I don't think I've ever seen the director's cut actually.
There's just a little bits and pieces here and there that are added. It's not. There's like maybe two major scenes. Like one of them is just a sex scene that you don't really need.
Mm,
Like it's really just out of like his wife comes to visit him and it's completely cut out. You don't even notice it's gone in the other version.
right.
It is an underrated pick and I love it.
Oh, I love it too. I
But I'm
think
going to
it's
say
great.
the uncontroversial, I'm going to say the very controversial take of Red Dragon actually did it better.
Whoa.
I've read the book and Red Dragon has more of the book in it. Now, don't get me wrong. I actually love William Peterson more than Norton.
Yeah.
In Red Dragon. William Peterson does a much better job. And what I do like about this version of the film is they actually allow Will to get into the killer mindset a lot more than he does in Red Dragon.
Right.
But I mean, you even have a bit in this movie where he's literally talking to Hannibal over the damn phone, and it is one of the worst scenes in the movie because of that. And there's just some other things in the movie where you're just like, why? And the ending is so 1980s over the top action ending compared to the book ending and the Red Dragon ending, which is more closer. Red Dragon is closer to the book. Basically, that's the reason why I like it.
I think
And it also matches up. But again, you can't take the way. I love the aesthetic of this film. I love that it's a Michael Mann movie through and through. For Rook, who doesn't know who Michael Mann is, he's the guy who made Miami Vice.
Yeah.
So it has like a lot of that 80s vibe to it. Like this literally could have been a spinoff of Miami Vice and a prequel to CSI, basically.
Yeah,
William Peterson's the guy from CSI. So yeah.
Yeah.
But Tom Noonan does an okay job as the bad guy, and you have a very young Joan Allen as the female character in the part. I can't remember her name offhand, but yeah, and you got Dennis Farina, who's great. I mean, it's a great cast, great cast, and the music's great. And there's the element, like if they had just borrowed the aesthetic for Red Dragon and just done it with those characters and added in the bits that they did from the book that weren't in this movie and so on, it would have made Red Dragon even more brilliant because that's the era it was supposed to take place in. It's almost like timed perfectly, the Manhunter. Because when I was younger, like that's why I watched a Manhunter than the other films, right? Like, so you had a different guy playing Hannibal Lecter, but he's still close enough to the other version. He's a little bit more laid back, but yeah.
Yeah. But that's, I think like we talked about before, it's like Red Dragon is part of the Anthony Hopkins trilogy, with like the same characters from that story and everything, which and more based on the book and everything than Manhunter is. And it's like Manhunter feels like it exists outside of this in a world where I know some people may get mad over that, but Red Dragon is a good movie, and so is Manhunter. You know, it's just they're just a little different.
It's interesting to see, two different complete versions from two different directors. Even though Brett Ratner, I wouldn't consider a great director, but I mean, he was really kind of just a work for hire when it comes to Red Dragon. I mean, he's just there making it like a sequel, prequel / whatever to the other films, more or less. But yeah.
And they actually did the Red Dragon story on the Hannibal series as well, because that's sort of what the
so
Hannibal
it's actually been
series
redone 3 times.
Yeah.
It's been done 3 times now.
Yeah,
which
so
actually, that's the thing, is I actually like Red Dragon more than I like the other
Silence
film,
of
but
the
we'll
Lamb,
talk about that maybe in a little bit. So.
But no, I agree with you. I love the 80s aesthetic of the Manhunter. I love the bright colors. I love that it does feel like a Miami Vice episode. I do think Tom Noonan and Ralph Fiennes are both pretty scary and intimidating as the Red Dragon.
But Ralph does it so much better. Or is it Rafe or whatever you say?
Rafe.
Because you actually
to him.
The problem with Manhunter is this. They push him off so far into the movie, and and Joan Allen's character, I can't remember the damn character's name. But the blind chick. They push those two so far off in Manhunter that by the time you get to them, it almost feels like an afterthought. Even though William Peterson's been chasing this guy through the whole movie. And when you compare the two, because in the Red Dragon version, you have a few of the things happen earlier, and you get to see Dollarhide earlier on in the movie, right? So you start to follow him along, and you actually start to sympathize with his character a little bit, which is weird, because you're like, I shouldn't sympathize with this guy, but I kind of do, and I kind of want him to get with this chick because they almost feel like they're perfect for each other, but you know it's a doomed relationship, right, from the start.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get any of that in Silence of the Lambs, but we'll get to that later, probably. So, like, it actually gets you involved in the other story, is my point. Yeah,
I get what you're saying. It actually is a much more because, like, to be honest with you, well, I'll take it. But when we get to the if we get to the sense,
his transformation in Red Dragon seems more.
Yeah, it's much more like. He feels much more threatening. Both versions, Manhunter and Red Dragon, he feels so much more threatening. It feels so much more like a chase against time to get this guy. What's going to happen? It is a much more action-packed story than maybe the.
Even though there is that ticking clock, you're more aware of the ticking clock in Silence of the Lambs in this movie. You're not aware of the ticking clocks. I mean, you are, but you're not. And even in the. And this is another thing I'll give Manhunter better for, is they do a better job with the ticking clock in this movie, in this version. Because you even have the blow up between Farina and William Peterson when he's like, just give it up. We're not going to get him tonight. And he's like, no, it's not over until the night's over. He's still out there, it's because he knows he's going to attack on the moon. Yeah. Right. But we know as the audience is that he's been distracted by this chick, but it just the pacing of it and the setup of it works so much better in Red Dragon. Plus, Red Dragon actually has the real ending of the book. Manhunter, it just kind of has this really quick, jaunted ending to it that kind of comes out of nowhere to Inagata Devita. It's like, I mean, it worked for the time, don't get me wrong, but it's not the real ending of the movie or the story. I get
you. And I mean, I guess you could say that, like, yes, Manhunter is just very much 80s, like, sort of blend between action and drama and everything, very Michael Mann, very that. And then Red Dragon is much more so, like, if you're faithful to the books, that's what you're going to want more than possibly the other one. But I mean, you really cannot, be honest, you can't go wrong with either movie. They're both good. They both have good points and bad points, so you can't really go wrong. I think William Peterson just was like, the thing is, like, with William Peterson, like we like Manhunter now, but Manhunter back then was not a success.
Yeah,
We'd
I
like
think all
to
the
live.
movies that he had made,
Yeah.
I don't think they did very well. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say people like to live and die in L.A., but I don't believe that was actually a very successful movie, if I remember correctly. I know a lot of people love it, but I don't think it was like nothing set the world on fire. And then also he did that Mark Wahlberg movie, Fear, where he's the dad, and that movie didn't set anybody on fire either. So it was just eventually he was going to end up on TV, and he found the right show for him. So, but yeah, you're right, Tom. Go ahead if you have anything else to say. But yeah, I enjoy them both. I enjoy them both. Yes, that's who played him in the Hannibal show. Richard Armitage played Francis Dollarhide the best. I don't know. I've actually only seen the first season of Hannibal, which I actually did like the first season of Hannibal. So I've been meaning to go back and finish the last 2 seasons because it's only ran for 3 seasons. So I was interested to see how that story played out when it got to that point in the show. But yeah. So I guess we'll go on to me. Is there anything else? Unless Tommy, you want to go for your another pick? Because I know you got a bunch more, but I can go to me if you want. Let's see. What do I want to do? I think Tom might have stepped away. So let's see. What do I want to do here? I'll do this one. I'll do this one. I have, if I can get the camera right, I always do it the wrong side. Inner Space, directed by Joe Dante. I don't know if any of you have seen this, Rookie, because I know Tom has.
I have not.
This is a great freaking movie. I love this movie. This is one of my all-time favorite movies. I love Joe Dante as a director. He's one of my favorite directors. This movie stars Dennis Quaid, Martin Short, and Meg Ryan. And Dennis Quaid is this test pilot. What they're going to do is they've come up with this thing where they're going to shrink. He's going to pilot this ship. They shrink it, they miniaturize it, and they were going to inject it into a bunny. So like he was going to map the inside of this bunny. So like so they can learn about the bodies and stuff, and it could help with all that. Okay, so and Martin Short plays this hypochondriac store clerk at a grocery store. He's always sick. He's always scared. And then Meg Ryan is Dennis Quaid's girlfriend, who's a reporter. So on the day they shrink Dennis Quaid in the ship to put him in the bunny, these bad guys break in and they steal the chip, and because they want to steal the technology and for themselves and sell it, And so the doctor takes the shrunken Dennis Quaid ship and everything, and he runs out while he's being chased by the bad guys, and he ends up injecting him into Martin Short's ass.
Oh.
And so he goes inside of Martin Short's body, a human body, and he wasn't prepared for that. So now he's inside of this guy, and he can get in touch to him. He can with the ship, he can see through his eyes and get into his ear canals and talk to him. So now he's inside of Martin Short's body, and they're being chased by these bad guys. And so he's got to take this hypochondriac guy who's freaking hilarious and, make him into this guy that can do like spy stuff and stuff, like that stuff. And then Meg Ryan comes along and she joins them, and they're being chased by the bad guys. And it's just a really great movie. Great special effects. It's a movie from the 80s. It's got an amazing soundtrack. It's Joe Dante firing on all cylinders in this movie. It's a Steven Spielberg movie. It's a Presents movie. So it's got all the credentials that you could ever want in an 80s movie. It's just freaking fun and enjoyable movie. I think you would totally like it, Rook.
Sounds cool. Sounds funny.
Yeah, it's fun. It's very funny. It's thanks, Clark the Shark. Yes, and Robert Picardo as the cowboy is hilarious. Like, there's this guy, he's called the Cowboy. Every time he comes into town, they know something's about to be fenced. Something's going to be, stolen. So, there's a scene where, Martin Short and Meg Ryan get to the cowboy. They end up knocking him out, and then he's supposed to go meet the bad guys to get the chip back because they need the chip to get Dennis Quaid's character out of Martin Short so they can re-enlarge him. And so Dennis Quaid, with the ship he has, it takes Martin Short's face and turns it into the cowboy's face. And it's this really great scene where it's done by Rob Bottin, who did the special effects for The Thing. He does this all practical effects where his face changes into the guy playing the cowboy's face. It's an incredible scene. And then when it changes back, it's creepy and funny. It's great. I freaking love this movie. And you got to see it, Rook. I really do think you would like Inner Space. It's a fun fun movie from the 80s. It's got all the great credentials. But yeah, this Blu-ray is great. This is a movie that could definitely use a 4K. I would love a 4K of this movie. It's Warner Brothers once again. Warner Brothers. This should have been one of your 100 years 4K right here. This really should have been. And I would love to have some special features about it, because at the moment all we have is a commentary with Joe Dante, which is great, and producer Michael Finner, and co-stars Kevin McCarthy and Robert Picardo. Robert Picardo plays the cowboy, and the visual effects supervisor, and theatrical trailer. That's all we got. Commentary with those guys and a theatrical trailer. And I would love to see, because this won an Academy Award for special effects. And like back in the day when like miniatures and stuff, all that was practical, was all good. And
yeah, it was pretty successful when it came out. It just kind of fell off the radar, but yeah, that was a cool era of these high concept comedies like Back to the Future, Inner Space.
Yes. And it's just a fun movie, and I hadn't watched it in a long time. The Blu-ray still looks pretty good. Excuse me, the Blu-ray still looks pretty good, but I would love a 4K of it. I would love a big set of it. I think it definitely deserves some attention, which I'm surprised we haven't, because we have gotten some Joe Dante 4Ks. Speaking of which, we got The Howling, we got Piranha. Was that the only two that we've gotten of his lately? I could have sworn we got more 4Ks of Joe Dante than that.
Just so far, Piranha, Howling, Gremlins. I think that's it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. By the way, Rook, yes, the guy that directed Gremlins directed Inner Space. I know how you feel about Gremlins.
The Burbs hasn't got a 4K.
Oh, that's
yet.
okay. I mean,
right? I'm surprised the Burbs hasn't got a 4K yet. That's like one of the. But I would love a 4K of Inner Space. It's a great movie. Yeah, but if you've never seen it, I highly recommend it.
Yep, sounds good. Sounds nice and neat.
All right. Well, Rook, I know you only got one more, so Tom, do you want to go ahead?
Yeah, let's go to Tom first. Yeah.
All right. Well, as we were just talking before, I should have just probably done all these together, but
it's okay.
I have, of course, Silence of the Lambs and Hannibal, which I have various versions here. I've got the old Blu-ray and DVD of the original Silence of the Lambs, and I have the Criterion 4K 2K scan, whatever, of. We can't even, so white, you can't even see it. The only reason I keep this is because it has a commentary on it that's not in any other version. It's from the old Laserdisc. So yeah, and then of course we have more recent Kino Lorber release, and it looks amazing. Great 4K scan, the same one that they had on the and this looks pretty good. I mean, honestly, there is a bit of an upgrade, obviously, with the HDR and all that stuff. But I mean, if you already have this version and you're not sure, unless you can get this for like dirt cheap, I wouldn't worry too much about it. This is actually a pretty good scan for being only a Blu-ray only, but it's 4K, and it does have at least a bit of a leap. But it's one of the few movies that MGM has taken care of over the years, because when I got this version, I even kept the old, because when they did the DVD, they upgraded the DVD, and I got rid of that DVD and kept the old DVD. And even that picture for that time, in 2001 when that came out, or 2000, was actually really good. And I compared it again to I was actually impressed with how good of a scan it was for the time. But again, it's a movie that MGM has always treated well, and no difference here. Nothing new on the other than historian commentaries like they usually do for Kino Lorber. But you get all the basic stuff that's been on this release. As far as I could tell, the only difference was you don't get the there's like a couple things that are on here that were from the Laserdisc, and a couple of things that you don't get carried over. But no, it's a of course they got their fancy book.
Yeah, and a nice little slipcase there.
Yeah. All that shit. So yeah.
That's one of the better Criterion cases I've seen.
Not too shabby, but I mean, I was kind of bummed, but also I'm like, okay, well, whatever, I got it. But yeah. So, and no, it was, and of course the movie itself is decent. If you haven't seen it, it's Academy Award winning film, one of the few horror movies to ever win.
Yeah.
Best
Hello,
Picture.
Clarice.
Doesn't actually say that in the movie. He says it in this one though.
I have seen Silence of Lambs.
And what do you think of Silence of Lambs before we go on to Hannibal?
I really liked it. Really liked it.
Well, I would hope so.
You know what I say? I'd fuck me.
Goodbye, that's the weird thing is Buffalo Bill feels like he's right out of Manhunter.
It does. He feels like he fits that era.
She like a big fat girl.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's
Buffalo
a good
Bill's
one.
Buffalo Bill's fun, but he's no Dollarhide, right? Like he's just not even in the same league. And Clarice, cool, yes, but she's a rookie. She's green. We know why Hannibal's all into her, right? I mean,
Redhead.
yeah. Oh yeah, and there's a factual error
Some
on
naivety.
this cover. Can you guys tell me what the factual error is on this cover?
Jodie Foster, Anthony Hopkins. The butterfly.
Tell you,
I don't know if I
everybody
know.
goes for the butterfly, but it's actually Jodie Foster's eye color. She has blue eyes.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
They always paint her eyes brown on these for some reason when she has blue eyes. I think Anthony Hopkins also has blue eyes, if I'm not mistaken.
Man, that's weird.
But then, yeah, so we've got Hannibal as well, which is directed by the wrong Scott brother. I mean, honestly, it's not a bad movie, but let's be real. Wouldn't you think this movie would be infinitely better had it been directed by Tony Scott instead of Ridley Scott?
Yeah.
And this was actually one of Kino Lorber's first 4Ks before they didn't even have a slipcover at the time.
I'm not a big fan of Julianne Moore as Clarice.
She's a bit of a downgrade. She's not horrible, but she's not Jodie Foster, right?
No,
I mean, what are you going to do? But at the same time, this movie has some great performances despite that. And for the few times Ridley Scott hasn't, yeah, Ray Liotta's great in this movie.
He is. He's really good.
Great in this fucking movie.
I've heard more mixed things about Hannibal compared to Silence of the Lambs. What do you guys think? Recommended?
It's
I like it.
Right
it's
movie.
Not horrible, but it's definitely not Hannibal Rising. So avoid Hannibal Rising. This is a perfect kind of capper to the series, in my opinion. I don't hate the story. It basically picks up a couple years after Silence of the Lambs. They're still on the search for Hannibal, and he's come off of the FBI's most wanted list just in time to kind of get sussed out by this cop in France who is obviously in over his head, along with a few other things that kind of bring Hannibal out of hiding, while also at the same time, Clarice had a really bad snafu in her career. A very public one at that. So, like, yeah, and then in the story is like him returning to the U.S. and their relationship, and it's
Hannibal's relationship with Clarice.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It's
okay.
like, well, they have like a father-daughter kind of weird kind of relationship.
Yeah, like a mentor type thing.
Yeah, but you could tell he's still, but he respects her. It's like a weird. You know what I mean?
I wouldn't teach you in particular. But,
so what got me was like the whole big awesome scene at Silence of the Lamb when Hannibal breaks free and bites that guy's nose and he leaves that hanging. Like that gives you like the sense of like, oh shit, this is Hannibal. What's he going to do now that he's free? And then we cut to Hannibal and he's free, and it's not as exciting as I thought it was
chilling.
Going to be.
Read a book, maybe.
Just a little more. Which I knew that he is sophisticated, like wine drinking, fancy type guy. But I don't know. I expected a little something more. But though, like the scene with Ray Liotta eating his own brains is a pretty cool scene.
That was awesome.
That's a pretty cool scene.
And Verger, played by who is one of his victims that survived. What's his name?
The what's his name? Not in it anymore. The other guy, the Carradine. Was Carradine in the Silence of the Lamb? Or the Carradine? No, yeah. No. Who was it? Oh no, it's what's his name? From Urban Cowboy and all that. Gary Oldman. Is that who you're thinking of, Tom?
No. Yeah, Gary Oldman. Yes.
Gary Oldman,
yeah. Gary Oldman, who plays Verger in it. And his character is a guy who survived, and he just wants. See, that's kind of the weird dichotomy of the movie. Rook is like, so you got this character who has survived Hannibal's attack, and he's like this rich,
with the
guy.
Yeah.
So he's actually trying to smoke Hannibal out so he can torture him. And so the FBI
Hmm.
are also kind of trying to protect Hannibal at the same time as catch him. It's kind of weird.
Okay. Interesting.
It's a bit. I think maybe it feels like maybe there was a bit too much in the movie. Maybe that's what it's like. Maybe
I
too
don't
many
hate
people
it.
at once. No, I don't hate it either. But it's not. It's not Silence of the Lamb or Manhunter Red Dragon. But it's not bad. It's not bad. And I
Christopher
didn't.
Reeve would have been great as Mason
Yeah,
Bridger,
I did not
actually.
know that. That would have been awesome. But no, it's got a hell of a cast. Other than I like my biggest complaint is Julianne Moore. I don't like Julianne Moore as Clarice, and I just I don't know. I expected a little something more creepier from Hannibal. I guess maybe after the scene at the end of Silence of the Lamb. But then
Well,
again,
it's a twisted dance between the two, and I think Tony would
yeah,
have handled it a little bit better, to be honest with you. Ridley, I just don't think knows how to handle this kind of a. Because that's the thing about Silence of the Lambs and the other films is they're slasher films disguised as Oscar bait.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like
yeah, and
they're
that's
kind of like Hannibal himself. He's
yeah,
sophisticated yet dangerous at the same time. It's like a weird dance, but like you can trust him in a weird way in certain situations more than you probably could most people that wouldn't normally eat your face.
yes.
It just depends on if you offend him or not.
Yes, and that's actually something they're going to be talking about in that '90s horror documentary, the '90s from the people that made the '80s one, is like a lot of the movies like Silent Slam that were actually disguised as other movies when they're actually horror movies. Like it's a slasher movie, it's a this, and they're actually going to be talking about that. But yeah, and I was just thinking, like, not that what's his name, Buffalo Bill or Bob or whatever, isn't it a fascinating villain and
Was it
everything?
Buffalo Bob? I always say Buffalo Bill. I don't know.
I can't remember.
It's
'Cause I was
Buffalo
thinking
Bill,
of
but
the
Buffalo
stupid Joe
Bob
Dirt
sounds like
Day.
his brother, of course.
The Joe Dirt, because it's Buffalo Bob and Joe Dirt or whatever.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
Bob. Yeah.
But not that he's like not a fascinating villain or anything. He's a great villain, but I think one of the reasons why the Red Dragon guy, Dollarhard, stands out is like you feel like he could match with Hannibal. You really feel like he can match up with Hannibal. Like he's somebody that could give Hannibal a challenge. Buffalo Bill felt like somebody who was not challenging for him at all. But I do like Hannibal, and I do like I said, I do like the where he's eating his own brain. My biggest thing is I just Julianne Moore didn't have it for me, and I guess maybe that kind of diminished a little bit of what I was seeing. But I do think it is a good movie. I do believe it is a good movie, and it's worth the watch if you've seen Silence of the Lamb and you're kind of interested to see where it went. You can see it.
I mean, in a way, honestly, I feel like Silence of the Lamb was just a good movie in and of itself, like one that doesn't require any sort of extra ones. One of those kind of films to me. Again, that was a good one movie. That
it's a series of novels, so
yeah, and Red Dragon, like I said, is actually the better of the two. Sadly, but it always gets overlooked because really, Silence of the Lambs is just a ripoff of Red Dragon at the end of the day.
I mean, like if you watch,
it really is.
Yeah, Red Dragon and Silence of the Lamb are sort of the same story. You just take out Will for Clarice, but she's a rookie and he's not. So that's
really the difference. Is you have a guy who can literally think like serial killers as opposed to the greenest rookie you can think of.
Yeah.
And that's the thing about Clarice is she's actually a horrible character. Now, I don't mean that as like she's a bad person or anything like that. But she literally doesn't figure out anything on her own. Like everything she figures out is because of Hannibal.
Mm-hmm.
To where Will, his last resort is always Hannibal. And his reason for talking to Hannibal is just so he can get himself back in the mindset. He figures everything out on his own except for... Actually, no, I'm starting to remember back. I think he figures out just pretty much everything on his own. The only thing that Hannibal really gives him is the pilgrim bit, which helps him figure out the whole thing in the ads. Other than that, Will figures almost all that shit out by himself. I don't think any time.
Yeah, he essentially just went to Hannibal at first just to
get back in the mindset.
Yeah, his mind. He wasn't hunting
because he
Hannibal.
kept telling me, "Show me him, show me him." He doesn't say who is he necessarily until they actually know that he thinks that he knows who he is. But I don't think Hannibal ever really knew who Dollarhide was but he just gave Will the things that he needed to figure out who he was. But on the other hand, Buffalo Bill, he knew exactly who he was.
Yeah, that's what I said. He's
He's
more
toying with Clarice from the beginning of the whole fucking thing.
Yeah,
she is way out of her league. That's the whole point, is to where Will and him going tit for tat is just that, going tit for tat, right? Because Will can think just like he can, kind of thing.
Yeah, because they have like this thing where like they're going at it with each other. Where Clarice, like we mentioned, Clarice and him have this much more like father daughter mentor.
Yeah, it's quid pro quo with her. For him, it's tit for tat. Yeah.
Yeah, but they're great movies. That's what I'm saying. They're all great movies. And then like you get to Hannibal Rising, don't watch that movie at all. That's a horrible movie.
He eats his sister. That's all you need to know.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, it's a horrible movie.
Why?
He's forced to, actually, but that's the thing that supposedly sets him on the path that he's on, because he's trying to protect her, and then their captors, they change a bunch of his background and shit too. I'm trying to remember. I can't remember if they actually make him German or something like that so he can be chased by Nazis. Wasn't that what? I don't remember. Or something like it. It's fucking so bad. I'm like, what in the hell is this? Like,
and I think like even the time they set him in doesn't line up with Anthony Hopkins at all, or something like that. Like the time is really messed up. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I was just like, I wasn't sure if it's
the time frame is all screwed up too. Yeah,
the time frame of that. But yes,
he's not Russian or whatever. He's English. I mean, I don't understand. Like,
yeah, he's like Russian or German and whatever. And it's just like, what?
Yeah, that's what threw me off. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, and that's the whole thing, is like he's kept captive and they're starved. And then they end up killing his sister. She dies for some reason. I can't remember which. And they end up feeding her to and then he goes for revenge. And it's like, oh, this.
It sounds horrible. But yes, Clarice did inspire Dana Scully, so I'll give him that much.
And I mean, I'm surprised they hadn't tried sooner to do a TV show when Fox or CBS did their more recent failed one with Kurtzman. But I mean, she seems like a no-brainer to do a TV show about, and you don't have to constantly hang shit on Hannibal, because that's the other problem they have, is the separation of the license. But
but they did it, and that show was like really bad, wasn't it? And they even like, didn't they like color swap her out or something?
No, she was, I don't remember who she was played by, but what their problem was with Clarice was they set it up to where it picks up right where Silence of the Lambs leaves off.
Oh, that was a mistake.
And they can't mention or refer to or show Hannibal Lecter, because there's a separation in the characters. Because the short version of this is what happened was, okay, Manhunter was made back in 1986. Dino De Laurentiis bought the rights to Red Dragon to make Manhunter. MGM Orion, or actually I think it was just Orion at the time, bought the rights to Silence of the Lambs. Well, since Manhunter was never a big hit, MGM Orion, whatever at the time, goes, hey, do you mind if we use the character? What do we got to do to work this out? Because any character that was originated in Red Dragon could not be used in Silence of the Lambs unless they had the go-ahead from Dino, because he owned the rights to those characters because they originated in Red Dragon, and Hannibal being the most prominent of those characters. Well, since Manhunter wasn't a hit, Dino's like, yeah, go ahead, do whatever you want. Didn't even charge them anything, from my knowledge. Just let them use Hannibal Lecter. Became this huge fucking hit. Won Best Picture. Anthony Hopkins wins Best Actor. Jodie Foster, I can't remember, did she win or did she just get nominated? I can't remember which. But like across the board, I was going to say, I think she won, because it was one of the bigger sweeps ever at an Oscars. And Silence of the Lambs just totally took the 92, but the 91 Oscars, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And so when that was a hit, for years, there was this background battle about Red Dragon. They wanted to remake Red Dragon like early on, right away. And he's like, nope, can't use Hannibal. And then in the meantime, the author, I just forgot his name, Thomas Harris, wrote Hannibal, the book, and Dino scooped up the rights to that. So
Good old Dino.
Yeah, so then so it could be a direct sequel to Silence of the Lambs. They had to come up with this other deal, work it out with MGM. And then through that deal, they finally worked out the Red Dragon deal. But for years, they went back and forth because Dino actually owned the rights to the character Hannibal and wouldn't let, because I'm sure because he felt like he got screwed over in the Silence of the Lambs deal.
Yeah.
Didn't want to play ball for a while. And then that also came back to bite him in the ass down the road when they did the Hannibal show and they wanted to use Clarice to get into the next season, which would have been Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah.
But MGM wouldn't let him have the rights because CBS owned those rights and they were planning on doing their own Clarice show instead.
And then Hannibal just basically
so
becomes
the Clarice
the Red
show.
Dragon.
You can't talk about Hannibal. You just talk about the events and stuff that happened. But you know, you can mention anything that was related to Silence of the Lambs as long as it wasn't related to Hannibal or any of his doctors in the first book. Basically, like they talk about that guy or something like that, and then they create this wholly new character who's like Hannibal that she talks to, I guess is my understanding. Like, why? Why? Just
it's so stupid. It is so stupid. Well, luckily that show didn't last long, so
no, it was canceled pretty quick.
Yeah, it was good. And people
This
are
was
still
just a couple
clamoring.
years ago. It's not even that long ago.
Yeah. People are still clamoring for a Hannibal reunion.
Yeah, because and that's the funny thing. It's like Alex Kurtzman just can't seem to quit screwing Brian Fuller over because Brian Fuller's the guy who did Hannibal.
Yeah, and
then
he
he
did
originally was working on Star Trek Discovery.
Yeah.
And then because of Kurtzman's CBS deal about Clarice, they never got to finish off Hannibal like they wanted to with Silence of the Lambs and down the road because they were just going to continue the story on. Yeah.
Yeah. Poor Brian Fuller.
Well, now he's working on Friday the 13th, so fingers crossed you don't screw that up.
Yeah, hopefully that turns out well. I'm scared, to be honest, but we'll see how that TV show turns out.
But I don't hate Hannibal. I don't dislike it as much as most people do. I thought it was actually a fitting ending to the story. You get a nice conclusion with the two main characters, and that's all you really need. So
I agree. I mean, it's not as bad as some people think, but I honestly think it's the weakest of the three of the and Anthony Hopkins one.
Oh, clearly.
Yeah.
It's like the Return of the Jedi of the trilogy. Let's be real.
Yeah. I mean, it's still good. It has good moments, but it's definitely the weakest, and it is worth a watch. I do believe it's.
And it is the one that's okay. Red Dragon and Silence of the Lambs are very similar in tone, story, structure, beats, all that shit. This is a completely different animal, right?
Yeah.
Like, so you got to keep that in mind. Like, this is, and that's where I said I think Tony Scott could have handled this a little bit better than Ridley did, but that's just me. Because this is almost like an action movie mixed with what Silence of the Lambs and Red Dragon are, kind of more so than it is one of those kind of movies. Because there's no real mystery to it. The only mystery is they got to figure out where the hell Hannibal is. That's about it. Like, you don't have like another killer. Like the closest thing you have to a killer is Mason Verger taking that role. Basically, that's it.
Yeah. That's true. But a good conversation. Good
Hayes, Dino De Laurentiis. Yes,
Dino De Laurentiis. But his name might come up again later for you, Tom. Wouldn't you say so?
Yeah.
Maybe.
When the monkey die, everybody cry. When Jaws die, nobody cry.
But
when my monkey die, everybody gonna cry.
I think Christopher.
It's like, what the fuck is he talking about?
Rookie has no clue.
Nope.
I think Christopher Reeve could have done really great with that role. I think that could have helped him sort of like, it could have maybe almost gave him a career comeback. I think maybe possibly.
Well, kept him relevant and acting in a role that he could have handled most likely.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing with Chris is he is a quadriplegic as opposed to a paraplegic, I believe. Well, is Mason? I can't remember. Maybe he is a quadriplegic too. I don't remember using his hands in the movie, so yeah.
I don't think it would have mattered. They would have, just laid him down.
I don't think he can use his hands either, or his arms. So you might be right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But Rook, to explain what that was Dino De Laurentiis made the 1976 King Kong remake, and it was right on the heels of Jaws. So his whole thing was at the end of Jaws, when the shark died, nobody cry. But when my movie ended, at the end, when the monkey died, everybody gonna cry.
Everybody.
He had a thick Italian accent. Yeah.
Yeah.
Even Arnold Schwarzenegger made fun of his accent too. A little bit.
That's Arnold too.
Dog funny, you're such a little guy with a big desk.
That's exactly what he said to him. Yeah. Dino
all right.
got pissed.
I mean, can't blame him. But Arnold's not wrong.
That's why he took a lot of shit out on Arnold, including we'll talk about that in a little bit anyway.
Yeah.
Who's next? What are we doing next?
Yeah, Rook, do you want to go? I know you got one more. Do you want me to go?
I've still got like 3, 4, 5 more.
One of you guys can go then, I guess, because I just have one. So
I got 2 more.
I'll wait until each of you have one left or something, and then I'll go.
Right. I'll go ahead and do one, and then we'll go back to you, Tom. I don't know if Tom has seen this one. Rook probably hasn't seen this one, but I have Thanksgiving from Eli Roth.
It's going to be funny as I have not seen it. Watch Rookie has seen it.
I have not seen it.
No, I was going to say, I got to say this is the best Eli Roth. Is
that a newer movie?
This is the best Eli Roth movie I've ever seen. This is this is a better Halloween than the new Blumhouse Halloweens. I enjoyed the hell out of this movie. I had so much fun with this. This is a slasher. This is a straight up throwback slasher. It is awesome. If you've seen Halloween, if you've seen My Bloody Valentine, if you've seen Scream, because there is a little bit of stuff to Scream, but this is more in the line of like the 80s slashers. That inspired Scream to begin with. But it's very much in those same vein, and it is a great movie. It is a good movie. If you're a slasher fan and you like stuff like this, you will love this movie. Yes, I will say that Eli Roth finally made a decent movie. I'm not a huge Eli Roth fan. I don't like the hospital movies. I never really thought Cabin Fever was that great. This movie, watch it. Even like the way the freaking movie opens up is straight John Carpenter, because it opens up with a steady camera shot right up to this house, just like the opening of Halloween, except it doesn't turn into a killing. It's somebody knocking on the door to go to a Thanksgiving dinner, and it's not. But it is a great movie. So it's not a bad movie at all. It's really. I just cannot praise it enough. I had fun with it. The only problem I really had with it is like the characters, like the cast of the kids that you follow. Most of them are fucking annoying. So usually in a first movie slasher movie, you can like Scream or like Nightmare on Elm Street or Halloween. You can relate to the characters. You don't really want to see the characters die right off the bat. It wasn't until like the sequels got to the point where like you want the killer to kill the kids. Well, I shouldn't say that because YouTube, I don't mean it like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Right. So
Minecraft them. Yeah.
But in this one, there's only like 2 or 3 of the teenagers people that are actually likable. So, and honestly, you kind of find yourself relating a little bit with the killer. Well, I shouldn't say that because that kind of spoils because I don't want to give it away because it is. So I'm trying not to spoil this movie because I know Tom hasn't seen it. You haven't seen it. I don't want to spoil it, but, it gets to the point where you kind of relate with the killer a little bit. But the plot of the movie is, without giving away too many spoilers, is it starts on Thanksgiving. It's Thanksgiving night, right? There's in a small town in Massachusetts, there's going to be a Black Friday sale. Okay. So and it plays on that consumerism thing. Like Black Friday is not what it once was, but this is like sort of how like Black Friday used to be, where people would line up and fight people and run over people to get the stuff, right? So like there's going to be this Black Friday sale at it's like a Walmart in a small town, and things go bad quick, and like everybody busts in, people die. It's insane. And then we jump a year later, and there's this guy in a mysterious John Carver mask in this building. He's watching because like they ended up like I said, the kids are really annoying. One of the kids is filming it all on his phone. Like they're those type of kids that's got to film everything on their phone and their stuff. They film this. So he's watching this video. The guy is watching this video of everything's going on. And then like the people that were there that night that basically did harm to cause the deaths start getting killed one by one by this guy. And that's as far as I'm going to tell you guys, because if you've never seen it, don't want to spoil it. but Patrick Dempsey is in it. I think he's the only name. Patrick Dempsey, Gina Gershon. I think those are the only big name stars in it, and then you have the group of the teenage kids, which is a bunch of unknowns. I don't think I knew any of them, and it's a good guessing game of who's who. There are red herrings, and I would say if you really like those old slasher movies, you'll love this. If you like Scream, you'll love this. But this is much more in line with the '80s slasher movies than the '90s, because it feels straight like that, like an '80s movie. But there is there's like TikTok girls, and I think an actual girl who was famous from TikTok is in the movie as one of the characters, as one of the people getting hunted down. But I was surprised this was an Eli Roth movie.
They get to off some influencers. Nice.
Yeah, well, a girl. Basically, some of the kids are influencers, and that it's crazy. Some of the kills are great. Like they cook a woman as a Thanksgiving turkey.
Perfect.
It's insane. It's insane. It is. It's great. But yeah, I highly recommend this movie. If you're clamoring for a good old fashioned, little gory slasher movie with like a whodunit, I do recommend Thanksgiving. It is a fun movie. I will definitely revisit this movie multiple times. There will be no leftovers. That's the tagline. There will be this Thanksgiving. There will be no leftovers. It's fun. It's definitely going to go in a category of like, I wouldn't put it in like I said, it's better than the new Halloween movies. I wouldn't say it's better than the original Halloween, but I would say if you liked My Bloody Valentine, if you liked, I'm trying to think of all the old slasher movies because it's very similar to those type of. If you liked, oh shit, my mind went on me. I'm trying to think of all these old slasher movies. I don't want to say Nightmare on Elm Street because it's not Nightmare on Elm Street because that's a different type of slasher movie. Oh my God! Just look at your wall, Greg. What do you got over there? Anyways, you know what I'm saying. My mind's going blank. I can't think of '80s movies right now. Go figure. Anyways, but if you like
too many of them for you to break down into specifics.
Yeah, if you like those type of movies, it definitely pays homage to a lot of those, and it feels like one of those. It's got some great scenes and I'm glad they use practical effects. They use a lot of practical effects with the killings and stuff, like with the heads being cut off and stuff. It's not all CGI. A little bit of CGI blood. So yes, there you go. That's what I was thinking about. That's the one I was trying to come to mind. Slumber Party Massacre. Yes, it's got like Slumber Party Massacre. It's got like The Burning. It's got like Friday the 13th. There you go. They're coming to my mind now. It's got like the original Friday the 13th, Slumber Party Massacre, My Bloody Valentine, all that type of stuff rolled in one. Halloween. It feels like all those movies. So yeah. There you go. And I do love that in the Blu-ray here, they actually give you special features. Whoa. You actually have deleted and extended scenes. You get an outtake reel. I love an outtake reel. I do miss outtake reels, even though they never give us the real outtakes. You know, there's funnier outtakes than the ones they give you. They're just afraid if they show those, then they might get canceled. And then they have Massachusetts movies. They have Eli Ross and his friend Jeff, who wrote this movie, who were childhood friends. It's got their movies they made as kids on here, and it also has Behind the Screams, Gore Galore, and commentary. I mean, you don't get a lot of extras on movies anymore, so I'm excited about that. Yes, The Prowler is very much influenced on that. Dude, Random Brad, you're gonna love it. You're gonna love it. I really do. I think you will. But yeah, I'm really trying not to spoil too much of the movie because it's you do got to see it, and it's got a pretty decent mystery. Some people will probably figure it out from the very beginning of the movie because they don't hide it too well, but other people will not figure it out. I think some people will latch onto the red herrings. But right. If you've seen a lot of slasher movies like I have, I kind of knew it. Once I saw it, I was like, oh, okay, I think I know who it is.
Right.
And so, yeah. But yeah. Well, Mega Man, one of the deleted scenes, one of the deleted and extended scenes is the scene that the woman they cook in the movie is actually still in her clothes once she's presented as the turkey. One of the different scenes is she's naked in the well, it's not a real person, it's a fake, because it's been cooked. But yeah,
we're all about practical effects here.
yes. And what's funny is this is actually based off of a Grindhouse trailer in the Quentin Tarantino Robert Rodriguez. They did a movie called Grindhouse where they made 2 movies, and they made fake Grindhouse trailers. Famous directors, and Eli Roth made a Thanksgiving, which actually the Thanksgiving Grindhouse trailer is a lot more dirtier and nastier than this movie, because there's not really like nudity and stuff in this. There is a chick's butt on a trampoline, but in the Grindhouse trailer, she actually takes her top off in the Grindhouse trailer. But it's based off that, and so like they made 5 fake Grindhouse trailers, and 3 of those 5 movies have become actual movies. Were turned into actual movies. They're not anything like the Grindhouse trailer used in those that they were used to inspire them, but they are based off of those trailers. So yeah, there you go. Tom, if you're ready for another pick, you can.
Sure.
But yeah, I highly recommend Thanksgiving. Great movie. I had fun.
Well, as you guys remember, I did talk about The Howling 3 a while back. I got this in the mail in the meantime. I forgot I ordered it. It's the Umbrella edition of Howling 3.
Nice.
But yeah, so I finally found Howling 4 on disc. It looks like it was released in Spain.
Oh, cool.
As Auludos for Pueblo Maldito.
Say that again 3 times.
No.
And
you know what's sad is that the actual movie poster on this, I can't probably show it all, but there you go. I'll cover up a specific spot. There is no nudity in this movie. It lies. Not any. Well, there's some, but not much. There's some. I take that back, but not a whole lot. This is a weird movie. Because it is actually a remake of the first movie.
Yes.
In a weird way. It's the book. It's closer to the book in some respects, I guess, with some things tweaked. But overall, it's just a boring retelling of the first movie in a lot of ways. It's just not very good.
Yeah.
The history of the movie is like the original producer, writer, or whatever, come in and took it away from the director. There you go. Yeah. And that's the only other thing. Oh, wow. See, my only complaint about this version is it doesn't have a reversible cover with the English cover like that or whatever. That's my only real complaint. But otherwise, yeah, it's a bit of an oddball. Nothing to really write home about. Not the worst, probably, of the Howling series. It's definitely kind of a step up from Howling 3, but there's hardly much werewolves in it, and it's kind of just a meandering TV remake of the first movie, it feels like.
Yeah, this one I actually do remember seeing, because I don't know if I've ever actually seen 3, but I know how bad 3 is. But I've seen 1, 2, and I think I've seen this one.
Well, the main character of this one is the only character that ever carries over into other films, too, I guess.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so.
Yeah. Good night, Brent Bart. Thanks for hanging with us tonight. But yeah, I somebody just sent me the VHS in the mail.
Weird.
Yeah, it's weird. That is a weird thing. But yeah, I do remember seeing this one, and I do remember it being very slow. And I think I turned it off the first time I watched it. Not this VHS, but the one back.
Yeah, and it's only like 80 minutes long too, and it feels like 2 hours. It just drags.
I remember them being in like the place and hearing the stuff outside, like the wolves, like they did sort of in the first movie or whatever. And it's like nothing happened.
I think there's only like 1 or 2 scenes with a werewolf in the whole damn movie. It's like really a slow lead up to the ending, which we all know, right? Like it's like, come on, we know the movie's called Howling 4. For fuck's sake.
We know what's going to happen. That's where I handed to what's that we talked about before? Was like the second was it The Fly? Part 2? Yeah. It's like with the Fly, the first Fly, how it takes to get to him to being the Fly, and then in the second movie, it goes right into it with the blood and all that. And like they get, instead of like, because you can't really copy what just happened. So like
No.
Do that in Howlings. We know they're werewolves already. We
Yeah.
know what's going to happen. Just
30
get to
minutes
it.
in, we should be seeing a werewolf. Exactly.
Yeah, you should be seeing a werewolf.
Yeah. It is not anything I can really super recommend, but the fact that it actually has a Blu-ray release and it doesn't look too shabby. I don't think it's like a 4K scan or anything, but
yeah.
No, it's clearly it's got a couple of special features on there, but nothing to really write home about. None that I really checked out extensively, but no, overall though I can't really recommend it per se, but that's just kind of a strange also rand, because I guess there's like 10 of these movies now, but
yeah, which is weird because I think the only I saw the Howling Reborn, which I think was from like
I think that's the 5th one,
maybe?
Or no, that's maybe the 6th one then. I don't know, like there's like it's weird because there's like this one, and then there's like one or two in between, and then the director who made this one, maybe he directed the one right after this too, but then he came back, and that's when this character returns. It's the main character in this one, and then I think she's in the more recent one too, if I'm not. Or no, she's not. I don't think, because she died years ago. She's in at least one or two more of them though, right? So like, and it's the only character that actually returns. Even though there was one other actor from this one who filmed a scene for one of the sequels, but their scene got cut. I can't remember which character it was, but yeah, I think it's her friend.
Yeah.
Cheap dime store Daryl Hannah.
And that's as sad as she's already cheap to begin with.
Yeah, the movie. And the worst part of it is the acting, right? Like it wouldn't be so bad, but the acting is wretched. And then they were such cheapskates when they shot it. They didn't shoot it with any sound. So all of the dialogue has been ADR'd in after the fact. And it's like, not even then, it's like you couldn't bring in some better actors to cover up some of the, because it is just
to fix their voices.
Some wretched acting. And that's the thing, is I don't even know which actors are doing their own voice or not, but like some of the, like, it's weird because the acting is so bad. Like the one main chick isn't bad, but like the boyfriend talks like this through the whole movie. He never really changes his expression. And the same thing with the bad chick, the main chick, she's always talking like this, like she's in a total different world. And it's just like, it just doesn't match. You know what I mean? It's like, what the fuck? Yeah, it has some weird bits to it.
It's always fun, like when you hear like the ADR, because it sounds like it sounds like a bad dubbed movie, which it is a bad dub movie. But what's bad about it is it's the actual people dubbing their voices over top of their own voices, and it doesn't work.
That's the sad part. Is I think about 80% of the acting people, like, they did redub their voices, like, and it's bad.
I mean, it's fun when you're watching like a Japanese movie and you got an American guy going over somebody's voice, and but when it's your own voice dubbing over your own thing and it sounds horrible, it just, come on.
The sad part about this movie is it doesn't quite reach the level of part 3 with the batshit craziness. Yeah. So you're like kind of stuck in this meandering ground of the acting is horrible. So the acting is perfect for making fun of it and watching it for it's so bad it's good kind of movie, but there's not enough werewolf stuff in it. If there was just a little bit more werewolf stuff, then it'd be the perfect kind of movie to throw in the beer and pizza kind of movie, you know what I mean, where you're making fun of it with your friends.
I know what you're talking about. This is my favorite type of movies.
Right, and it just barely. It's like it has 2 out of 3 of those things. It's just missing enough werewolf to make it go over the edge, and it doesn't care. I don't care if it's bad. That's the other thing, I guess. Who the hell's his name? The special effects artist. He's actually pretty well known. I forgot his name. He did the werewolf for this movie, and he was pissed because they barely use it, and then on top of it all, the way they shot it. Steve Johnson, thank you. Yeah. And he was pissed because of the way they shot it as well, because it's not the way he told them to shoot it, so it would look right. And because the transformation scene looks like hell in this movie. It almost looks like it was a retroactive idea to do it. It's so bad. Like, yeah.
Like I remember when I first saw it, I turned it off halfway through because I thought it was really boring, and then I eventually went back and rewatched it back in the day. But yeah, it's it's something else.
It's
Media
definitely one of the
Archive.
lessers, yeah.
Yeah. Media Archive. Mike says the seventh Howling movie. It's called New Moon Rising, and it's god awful. They try to tie 4, 5, 6 together.
That's what it
the
is,
characters
yeah.
from 4 appears briefly in 7.
Okay,
There you
something
go.
like that I remember reading when I was kind of researching this. I do try to research the shit for you guys. Sometimes it's just like
me too.
scattered stuff I can find, but or I misremember it because I watched it like a week ago or something like that, you know. You're just gonna have to bear with me sometimes, and if I give you bad info, it's definitely not on purpose. It's generally based in rooted in some fact somewhere. I just didn't remember it all or something.
Just happens. It happens sometimes. I mean, we know a lot of movies. We watch a lot of movies. We know a lot of useless facts about movies.
Yep.
Sometimes they get mixed up. What can you say?
So should I do another one just cause, or should I wait? I can wait.
I got one. He's got one. So yeah, if you want to go ahead.
Oh,
and do
I don't
another
care.
one.
It don't matter. I can do a couple. Yeah, I got so many here.
Yeah.
All right. So everybody was with the whole Taylor Swift thing and a few other things that happened in the last few weeks. People reminded me that this movie is a good place to check out freedom of speech laws and the First Amendment. And I realized I didn't have it on Blu-ray or DVD.
I didn't even know it was on Blu-ray.
It is, but it's a little difficult to find because I don't understand this. This is weird because Sony owns this, Columbia does, and the distribution on it, but it's released by Image. And there's a few movies like this, and I wonder if it's because near the end of Laserdisc days, if Image didn't bury it in their license deals, that they get all future discs too, or something like that up to a point. Because you would think there's no way Columbia would want to let this out of their grasp.
Yeah.
Because this screams like it should have been in the first Columbia collection.
Yeah, because that's what
I would have replaced this with Social Media, the Social Network one.
Yeah.
This should be there first. This is one of those movies because this is a 90s movie. Like, and Rook, if you've not seen this movie, it's like required viewing. Written by Oliver Stone, directed by Milos Forman. Great fucking cast. Even Courtney Love is decent in it.
Yeah.
Like,
she actually looks decent too in the movie.
Woody Harrelson and Woody Harrelson's brother, Edward Norton, fucking Crispin Glover, the dad from Back to the Future. Shit, who else is in this? So many people in this movie, man. It's a great fucking movie. Obviously you've seen it.
Yeah, I've seen it. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, do you even know anything about this movie, Rookie, before we get into this?
I don't think I've heard of it.
It's a true story. It's
yeah.
You know who Larry Flint is? Or was, I should say, because he just passed away in 2021. He was a guy who started Hustler magazine. Do you know what Hustler magazine is?
I've heard of Hustler, but honestly, I have to put it in the it's in that vague area of.
Okay, at one time there was Playboy, right?
Magazines. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah,
then there was
category
Hustler.
Of Playboy.
You had Playboy, Penthouse, and Hustler. Hustler, on the other hand, was the one that did everything and anything they could get away with, right? Like that was the first time you ever seen a full-on vagina, an erect penis.
So I like that scene. He's like, "Oh, we can't photograph that. Why not?" And he taps her legs open the It's like,
okay,
and the thing is, Larry Flint is from Ohio, and was in Cincinnati, you know, so I knew all about that.
Yeah, and of course the movie's more about his relationships with his brother, slightly, which is actually played by Woody Harrelson's real life brother, Courtney Love, of course, and his lawyer Edward Norton, which is my favorite relationship of the film, because as I'm sure Larry did say to his actual lawyer at one time, like, "Come on, you can't quit. I'm the best kind of client you got. I'm rich. I'm always in trouble."
Yeah. It's basically tough because like Edward Norton is a lawyer. He's just like he doesn't agree or believe in anything Larry Flint believes in.
That's the thing, and Larry is just like he does everything and anything he can to piss people off, right? Like it's his whole MO, and then tragically through the midst of all this thing, he got an assassination attempt on his life, and he was stuck in a wheelchair, paraplegic through the rest of his life.
Mm-hmm.
So like, and then he really took shit out on the rest of the world, because like that really kind of changed him a lot. And it's just like he spent years in and out of courts, fighting all kinds of different legal fights, and that's kind of what the movie revolves around. And the movie, as long as it is, it's not even that long really by today's standards, but of course when it came out, I remember it's like, shit, there was more stuff they could have crammed into this movie. In fact, they've got the deleted scene of where he's running for president. People forget about that too. He tried running for president. I mean, like this guy was a nut bar, right? Just a fucking nut bar. And we miss you too, Runner. And just Woody Harrelson plays him so perfectly. And he's he gets you down. Yeah, especially when he gets farther down the road, you know. Like, is that an American flag you're wearing, sir? Well, yes, I fashioned this American flag into a diaper because I figured if you're going to treat me like a baby, I'm going to fucking act like one.
And that's the thing. It's like we're talking about here. Like his lawyer says, I do not agree with this man, but I will defend him.
You're fired.
He has
I
the right
represent
to say what he
myself.
wants.
God damn it. They're fighting. This man is not my lawyer.
That's the whole thing of like freedom of speech. We're granted freedom of speech here in America, and like we don't have to agree with each other. We don't have to like what the other person is saying, but you have the right to say it. And that was the whole point of his lawyer.
Jerry Falwell case, was the big part of it too, because basically he takes and makes a fake ad of Jerry Falwell for an alcohol ad, and in the ad it's supposed to be like an interview with him, and Rook has no idea who Jerry Falwell is.
No.
He was one of the biggest evangelists at the time. Okay, so you know what an evangelist is, right? I'm assuming. Yeah. So he was like a televised evangelist. He's one of the first guys who did all that. Like, you all burn in eternal damnation and all that kind of shit kind of guys.
Okay, right.
Yeah. He was a Bible belt thumper kind of guy. Yeah. But anyway, so they put this ad out there, and in the ad is just this little interview, and in the interview he claims he slept with his mother. That's his first sexual experience. So he sued Hustler for defamation of character. So this thing went all the way to Supreme Court. But on top of it all, fucking he countersues him. I'm not even going to tell you the whole thing because I want you to see the movie to see how it plays out. But like everything that happened in this movie is real. Like there's more shit they could have put in. That's my point. Like this guy, he changed a lot of laws and and not so much changed laws, but clarified what the First Amendment really stands for.
Yeah,
and what you're allowed to do, what you're not allowed to do, where it starts, where it ends. You know, also he fought the journalistic side of having to reveal your sources. And I guess I learned today, California is the only state that still allows this to keep your sources as anonymous. But every other state, to my knowledge, if a judge forces you to do it, you have to do it, which it was the case then, but he just decided, nope, I'm going to fucking jail instead. Yeah. And sat in jail because of a whole other thing that, like the movie's a great film, great slice of life. They did an amazing job of capturing all the eras. They do a pretty good job of capturing a lot of the stuff that really did happen the way that I remember it myself, and stuff from memory and things the way it happened. And like you said, Woody Harrelson, I mean, this is his best performance ever. Yeah. I mean, I don't think there is another movie that I can think of other than maybe, honestly, I really can't think of a better performance that Woody Harrelson's done than this. This is definitely his best.
Yeah, it's one of the most solid pieces of work he's done. Yeah. And this thing is, like you said, being from Ohio and having lived close to Cincinnati, they even opened a Hustler store in Cincinnati. He was on the news all the time around here. So he was all the time back then. So, yeah. Like,
is that the Tin Man? Yes, it's the Tin. Oh, yeah. James Cromwell's in this. Fucking, like, there's such a great cast in this movie, man. And it won all the Oscars and stuff at the time. I mean, not all of them, but it won a few, I think. Got nominated for like, I think 4 or 5 or whatever it was. But the one I remember most is I think Courtney Love won for this. If I remember,
I think Courtney. I think that was like her big thing
Yeah.
after the whole like Kurt Cobain drug stuff and all that.
This was her big. Well, this was a couple years after that, but it also, that was her big.
Yeah, that was like her big
entrance
coming
into
back
film.
out of it and stuff. Yeah.
But no, I recommend it highly. And then I got on a weird kick. I was like, I'm gonna watch another Edward Norton movie for some fucking reason.
Still waiting
because
for
of Red Dragon, Larry Flint.
Mm-hmm.
And I forgot I had this sitting on my shelf. It was a movie I actually seen in the theaters quite a few times. And I fucking love this movie. This is a fucking brilliant movie. And I hadn't watched it in a while. And I'm like, you know what? I want to watch Rounders again. I have not seen that. And I remember watching this. I seen it in the theater like 3-4 times. Because this came out when I was in college and my buddy worked at the theater. I think I've told you guys this before, where maybe not rookie, but like when I was in college, this guy worked the theater with, we would go in on our days off and stuff like that. And we'd literally get like a garbage bag full of popcorn and hop from theater to theater all day long. And sometimes we'd watch movies 3-4 times. So there's like in that era of films, I've seen Waterboy like 4 or 5 times. I saw Rounders like 3-4 times. Saw Patch Adams like 3 times. Saw, like all those movies that came out in that period, I saw multiple times. And this was one of my favorite. Like this is one of them we stayed and watched right after again. Like we're like, do you want to go to the other movie? No, we're like, fuck this. Let's watch this one again. This was good.
You should go sit here and wait till it spools back up.
And for rookie who doesn't know what this is about, okay, so Matt Damon plays a rounder. What a rounder is a professional poker player.
Yeah.
And not only is he good at it, he's really good at it. Like it's like this came out after Good Will Hunting. Picture like Good Will Hunting as a card player.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's basically what he is. He's like this phenom with cards, right? Like he can tell everybody's hand, he can tell your tells, he figures you out right away, he knows when to fold them and all that kind of shit. But he fucks up big time, takes on John Malkovich, who is the big leagues in New York underground poker, and he loses his entire nest egg of 20 grand in one shot. And from that moment on, he promises his girlfriend he's not going to gamble anymore. Jump ahead 9 months later, his best buddy from growing up gets out of prison, played by
Edward Norton.
Edward Norton. I was trying to remember the guy's name I was just talking about. And this guy is just a fucking disaster, right? He is just nothing but a walking fucking disaster. He's kind of like Bob Iger. In fact, I used him today as an example of what Bob Iger's been doing for the last few years. He's literally been betting with the house money, and it's not even under his own name, right? So that's the kind of piece of shit this guy is. Oh, you'll love it, Runner. You'll love it.
Damon sold him.
You will love it. And then you got John Turturro on top of it all, who's playing like this. He's an old school rounder, and he's trying to keep Matt Damon, on the right path and not fuck himself. So he's kind of like, and that's the great thing that, like, I watched the little making of it. Matt Damon's right. He's like, I got 4 masters to watch and learn from, because you got to remember how young Matt Damon was.
Yeah, he was pretty.
Movie.
Yeah.
So he's like watching John Turturro and John Malkovich and even Edward Norton. And of course, you even got Martin Landau in the film as well.
Mm-hmm.
So like on top of it all, who plays his professor, because he's at the same time, that's the other catch, is he's going to law school at the same time, Brooke. Because everybody's like, well, why don't you use those card playing skills in the courtroom? How you can read people so well and all that kind of stuff. So like everybody's got this ambition for him to be a lawyer except for him. But then of course, once his buddy gets out of prison, he gets him into hock. And it sucks him right back into the world of rounding again. And it's just a great fucking movie. They capture that period perfectly. From what I've heard, I've never been to New York, but from what I've heard from people, that this is one of those movies of that era that really captured New York of that time, what it was like, and the smells and the feel and the whole underground world. They even based it on like Edward Norton and his buddies used to actually go to these underground poker clubs and shit, I guess.
Yeah.
And all that stuff. But yeah, it's a great fucking movie. I don't want to give away much more than that, but yeah, it's a good movie.
Those are the type of movies I miss seeing. I mean, I know people say, well, we still get movies like that. Yeah, we do, but it's like you got to search them out and they're very rare. And this is like what Matt Damon himself was talking about. This was his bread and butter in the 90s. Like he was talking about how he can't make movies like this now because there's no back end physical media release of the movie. So because there's nobody taking chances on this type of movies.
No, and I
But
think
yeah.
you'll like it, Runner. It's not as dramatic as Good Will Hunting. It's not as deep as Good Will Hunting, but it's just the idea that he can read the cards and he knows the
Yeah.
play, right? Like he can right on top of everything, right? Like
He feels how it's going to be and reads it and everything. Yeah.
and the best part is when he figures out their tells, right? Because that's the thing is they give it away right away in the movie as far as like the main character, the John Malkovich character, as far as what his tell is. I'm not going to say what it is because when Damon figures it out in the movie, it's brilliant. But like that's the whole thing is this one guy that nailed him. You know, he's got to tell, but damn it, Damon can't fucking figure it out, right? Like it's one guy he can't read, so that like it's kind of this standoff with those two. And then you also found out the whole reason why he was doing what he was. It's great. I don't want to give it away any more than I already have. I've given away too much already. It's a great fucking film. Check it out. Oh, Famke Jensen's in it too. I forgot about that.
Oh, I love Famke
Great
Jensen.
fucking cast. Like, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. I have not seen that movie in years. Matter of fact, speaking of which, I was actually wanting
Blu-ray too, actually, for being a couple of years old. It's an older Lionsgate Miramax release, but it actually looks fairly decent. Nice. Not too bad.
So you weren't here the night, but I brought on the Ben Affleck Christmas movie, Reindeer Games.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That trailer was on that, and that made me want to watch it. Because I was watching that because you know they used to put actual trailers on DVDs for other movies, and I saw that trailer for Rounders, and I was like, "Oh, I have not seen Rounders in years." And now you reminded me of it. Now I'm really going to have to go back and rewatch this movie.
Oh, that's exactly the kind of movie Matt Damon was talking about in that thing on that spicy food thing he was on.
Yes, that's what I was just saying. Like he would make movies like this, but
now he's stuck making movies like this.
Which I actually like.
Which will actually jump me to the next movie.
Go ahead.
Because I bought this because it was on sale. I've only seen the first movie. I didn't hate it, but I was one of those people that right off the bat, I'm like, I hate this shaky cam type.
The shaky cam
crap.
stuff.
I can't do this. So I just totally, the first movie turned me off, never revisited them again, but it was on sale. I bought it. And then Groove put this bitch on sale.
I know. I missed out on this.
So what I did was I sent the other one back to Amazon because luckily I hadn't opened it up yet. And I didn't realize it said full-sized bag on the box. I thought it was like a mini bag. No, this is a full-sized fucking backpack, y'all.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
It even comes with like a certificate and everything too. And then inside you've got dog tag, compass, and a monocular, however you say that. Monocular?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And it's an actual real monocular. It's not like some fake cheap fucking plastic shit.
And they had this one sell for like $60 or something, didn't they?
I got it for a lot less than that. I got it for the same exact price. $35. It was on the clearance sale.
So I was like, missed out on this because I was going to buy it.
So I got it and I never watched them. So I sat down and literally like binged all 5 of the movies in like 2 days. And the first movie is really good. I liked it a lot more than I remember. It's a popcorn movie, of course, but it's a fun popcorn movie. Getting to, especially considering all the movies that have been clearly inspired by it ever since. Mm-hmm. And the second and third movie are just the first movie all over again, kind of like Mission Impossible and Transformers kind of thing, where they have a formula. Like you literally get down to the point where the chase is going to start in the third act.
But though I will say, I don't want to spoil it, but like the second one did surprise me with what they did with the woman. So,
sort of, but I wasn't. I was expecting it. I was waiting for it from the very beginning.
But I didn't expect it so early, personally.
That, or I figured that she would have just been completely written out of the story. But I got to give them credit for bringing her in and what they did with her. Mm-hmm. And Joan Allen's in this too, who was in Manhunter, which is funny because I'm watching Manhunter. I'm like, God, she looks a lot like Joan Allen. And then
oh shit, it is.
Oh shit, it is Joan Allen. I forgot that was her. Yeah, but she's great in it. Tommy Lee Jones is great in it. I didn't even, and actually, I'll be honest with you, I kind of liked The Bourne Legacy. I didn't hate it. I was expecting to frickin' just hate it, but I'm getting into it. I'm like, okay, honestly, as a movie, I can see where some people are like, yeah, this was a big letdown, especially after the first 3. Because that's the other thing, too. I got to the third film. I'm like, how much more deeper can this thing go besides the president at this point? Like, I mean, mean, that's kind of the gimmick of these movies, right? It's like
Right.
every movie you find out, oh no, there's another level to this.
Yeah.
like, come on.
Oh no, Jesus is now involved in all the Greek gods,
Jesus
everything. Jesus and the Greek gods
goes
are
all
at
the
war.
way to Lucifer.
Actually.
It goes to the top and the bottom.
The gods have been at war for years and orchestrating everything, but they're also controlled by the aliens.
To be honest,
from Mars.
the Bourne Legacy with what's his name, I have never seen that one. I've seen them all, but that one.
I've not seen any Bourne.
I didn't hate it. So my point is though, is watching it, I'm like, this came out a little bit before the streaming services, but had it been done now, it would have been a perfect spin-off streaming series, right? Because what it does is set up the idea that the program that Bourne was part of wasn't the only program, right? So it's like, okay, now this is the direction you should have went from the first place, because this layers upon layers upon layers is like, come on, like, to me, it makes more sense that you would drop one, because this is what the government actually does. Drop one thing, abandon it, and then start something new with this built off of that, right? So that's kind of what the fourth film is about, is you have all these different versions of the same kind of thing over the years, and Jeremy Renner's character is one of those, and it does follow along and actually takes place alongside part 3. So that's where I said it would have been a perfect streaming series in a way. And then the same thing kind of goes, with like, because it actually brings Joan Allen's character into it and what happened to her after the fourth film. It tells you everything that happened in between. And then you get to the Bourne Ultimatum, and I'm like, when did Jason Bourne, I mean, and I'm like, when did Jason Bourne become Rambo 3?
Yeah, Jason Bourne sucks. That last Jason Bourne movie, it's not very good. I didn't dig it.
It was okay, but I'm just like, what are they trying to do here? I mean, they do try to tie everything back around together.
Yeah.
And I guess I did a little research, and my understanding from what happened between 4 and 5 was, yes, Doug Liman directed the original as asked by a runner in the chat, but what's his face? Tony Gilroy made 3, 4, and 5, or 2, 3, and 5. And the reason Matt Damon didn't come back for part 4 was because Gilroy didn't come back. So he's like, well, if Gilroy's not coming back, I'm not coming back.
Right.
And the writer of the other films, I can't remember his name, he directed the fourth. I can't read this. It's so fucking small. Anyway, I can't remember who directed it, but it was the one of the writer guys. And then Tony Gilroy came back for Jason Bourne. So like that's the whole. And I didn't dislike Jason Bourne. I'm like, okay, so it's a nice capper to everything. We don't need any more. Like that's it.
Guess what? They might be making a new one with Jason.
I've heard. But the beginning is what threw me off. I'm like, what is this fucking Rambo 3 shit? You guys know what I'm talking? I don't know if you.
Where he's like in the shirt and he's fighting.
The fighter guy's like, what the fuck is all this shit? Like,
it's like bare knuckle fighting in the street and stuff. Like Rambo. I know what you're talking about. Yeah. I didn't get into Jason Bourne. I didn't really like Jason Bourne that much. I mean, I love the first 3 movies. I really do. And I kind of wish it kind of just would have ended at that, personally. And I mean, if they wanted to pick up like with the Renner stuff.
It kind of works just as the first trilogy kind of works really well on its own for the most part.
It does.
Again, you kind of get the bummer of what happens to in part 2, which is to me the same problem that Lethal Weapon 2 has. But, yeah. Or am I wrong? Did Lindelof direct all of the other ones and it was Gilroy that directed the fourth one? Maybe that's what I'm getting wrong. I don't remember. I can't read this shit. It's so fucking small. I think
Gilroy did them all, other than the Legacy.
Like, it's really tiny. Like, I can't read that shit.
I know. I so wanted to get that because I seen somebody.
I can almost read it better doing this than I can. Because it actually makes it bigger on my screen. Whatever.
I did hear though some people have complained about the 4K transfers of those movies.
Oh, thank you for reminding me. Because the sound on these, the DTS X sound mix on all 5 of these movies is fucking amazing. Like, especially the first few. Like, I was impressed with the sound. The picture, except for part 5, is fucking wretched.
Yeah, like, I heard that.
If you already have the Blu-rays, you might as well not even bother. But Jason Bourne was actually, and maybe even Bourne Legacy, I'd have to check again. I think those two are the only ones that were shot and finished in 4K. But Jason Bourne actually looks really good. But yeah, the first three look like donkey ass in 4K. Like you wouldn't be able to tell they were a 4K compared to a Blu-ray.
Is what I heard. So I was,
and I don't have any Blu-rays to compare them to, so.
Right. Because I was wanting to pick up the 4Ks of it, but I've heard the bad things about the 4Ks, and then I saw some guy talk about that set you got there, and it was 35, and I was like, I want to get that, and I went to Groove, and it was gone. It's sold out. I was like, no, I wanted to buy that.
Well, maybe it'll come up again in the regular version on Amazon, but yeah, they were clearing them out.
Yeah,
I got.
Well, I actually think that set, the 4K set you have, not with all the splash, but was actually just on sale on Amazon for like $40. So
yeah, that's where I originally bought it. Was like for $35.99 or whatever on Amazon, and then turn around, it was the exact same price, but with all the goodies.
Yeah,
on Groove. And I'm like, well, fuck, I'll just send the other one back.
I know, like, I want that book bag, I want that monocular, I want the dog tags, I want all that, and it was gone. Groove had it sold out.
I'm sorry. That sucks.
the nerdy Ronin, he was telling me about it. That's who I saw. But yeah, so that's like you said, that was the first time you see, other than the first movie, that was the first time you seen them all.
Yeah, and I actually enjoyed the first movie again quite a bit. That's the only one I'd probably rewatch again.
The first one was pretty damn solid. I always thought it was pretty solid, and I do like 2 and 3, and I never seen Legacy, and I don't know. Maybe I need to rewatch Jason Bourne because
Legacy is okay. Like I said, it's.
I like Jeremy Renner, and I've just been meaning to watch it.
Yeah, I mean, and it's not like it clearly is still in the same world. They do the best they can. It's taking place in tandem with Bourne Ultimatum, kind of at the same time. Then, like I said, in Jason Bourne, actually, I think they set it up in Bourne Ultimatum. They has a list there of all the other programs, I think, and one or the other. And then in Jason Bourne, they solidify it even more because they talk about the other programs, specifically naming Jeremy Renner's. And I mean, it works. It's not horrible. It does fall into some of the same tropes, but again, I see it. If it had come out closer to now, it would just been a streaming series probably, and not a movie.
I mean, I did think at one point in time they were planning on making, like, having them to meet. Actually, Jeremy Renner's character and him.
I think there was meant to be.
I think there was something like that.
Something but they never happened in Jason Bourne, I think. But
yeah, and then Jason Bourne came out. Yeah.
No, it was all right. And if you can get this set for like that $30-some price point, that's not bad considering you get it's 4K and digital, and then a bonus Blu-ray, which I think came with Jason Bourne.
Yeah. So. And like we talk about, much like John Wick has had an effect on action movies, that had an effect on James Bond and other spy movies like that. Everybody tried to copy that. Like everybody's trying to copy John Wick now. So yeah, that's the effect it has. All right. So I guess Rook, how many more you got left, Tom?
Just one, technically.
Just one.
Two.
Okay, so we all got sort of one left. So let's go ahead and you, Rook. You haven't.
I got the big one left.
The big bad one.
The big baddie.
Oh.
Feelers Day Off, baby. Freaking. I might have seen this one like 1,000 times when I was a kid, man. This was one of the only movies at my dad's house, so it was like one that we put on all the time, and yeah, very much caught on. I have not watched it in years, though. I'm wondering what I'll think on rewatch, but I still remember it so vividly. I don't think that I'd think any different, really, with it, of course. All the songs that are from it, of course, Donkey Shane.
Yeah.
All the fun little stuff there. It's one of the weirdest, like, it feels like it's not a movie because I don't remember, like, if I'm thinking about, like, plot, he's just missing school, and then they're just kind of hanging around all day.
It's basically Deadpool in school.
Yeah,
you kind of. Yeah, I don't know. It's one of the, but it's fun. So it's like, okay, yeah, it's interesting because it's what the plot is. He's missing the day, save fair. Everybody thinks he's sick. His sister and principal are trying to catch him. Like, how would you describe the plot of this? Really,
you just did.
Like that's
the plot.
It's funny because normally I would think that makes the movie bad, but it's fun to watch though.
It's
so
just a simple plot. It's fun.
Just,
What's funny
like,
is you have
alright.
something like Deadpool now that you can go like, yeah, it's literally like if you were getting to see Deadpool in high school, right? Like,
Pretty much.
take away the
Yeah.
mutant powers, but I mean, he's talking to the audience and he's winking at the camera. It's all fourth wall breaking,
Mhm.
and it really is. There's no real plot
I mean,
to
that's
the
like
movie.
they even do the Deadpool does the whole thing at the end of his first movie. Go home now.
Yeah,
the movie's
stole
over.
it.
Yeah,
Exactly.
he stole that from
Oh
that.
yeah, right.
I mean, and it's just kind of like it is one of those John Hughes movies that only John Hughes could have made. There's not too many movies like it. There's a few, but not many. Like Adventures of Ford Fairlane, he does break the wall a couple times, and a few other movies. But like, this was one of those movies that came out. It talked to the audience in a way that where it was like, it literally talked to the audience figuratively and metaphorically, right? Like,
Well,
because of the teenage aspect, John Hughes just had his finger on the pulse of the 1980s
Like he
teenager.
knew. He knew.
Well, I feel like it's strange in how a lot of the scenes are different from each other and how they're filmed. Like there's a scene where they're at the museum and
It is kind of like
staring
events.
back and forth. There's the guys that steal the car, sort of, or they're driving it around. And
Well, it's
the way
funny you
that
say it
that's
because
filmed, and it's like, what are the ideas for this? Like, what
the movie works more like it's like 2 or 3 episodes of a TV show crammed together, which is weird because they did do a Ferris Bueller TV show, but it had none of the same cast, obviously.
Yeah.
And it was not
Wow.
successful, but you would think it screams a TV show, right? Like it almost feels.
I don't know. No, I don't know because
What's
I'm like,
weird
what-
is
what-
a few
what
years
more would I
later,
wanna
the
see?
ripoff. What's weird is a few years later, the ripoff did succeed on television. You guys remember what the ripoff was? You know what it is, Greg.
What
I
is this?
no idea.
Oh my God! Something Lewis can't lose.
Yeah, Parker Lewis can't lose.
Parker Lewis.
Exactly.
Yeah, Parker Lewis can't lose. Yeah, I've seen that show.
That's because they had it cast better. See, that was, I think, the biggest problem with the Ferris Bueller TV show, because the show had the right idea. It was basically the movie as a TV show, but the kid they had playing Matthew Broderick's character just was not the right fit.
He was the wrong Matthew Broderick.
Yeah,
Gotcha. Well, I mean, he does come off like this. He's the main character in in this show, but he's just in a movie. And these, and it's the day in the life of just one episode, or maybe a couple of hodgepodges of episodes that are kind of redoing in the movie or something. But there's never a show. It's interesting. I don't know. And something I'm just thinking about all these different scenes. I mean, there's the parade scene. That's a whole musical thing. There's, they go into the baseball area. There's the hot tub thing. There's Cameron in his car when he's sick for one, and like when Cameron was in Egypt's land. Like, what is the idea of this? But for some reason, I like it too. Like
the whole movie is like
good,
you're in on the
but it doesn't
joke,
make any
right?
sense to me based on a film. Like if I'm
That's
thinking
kind of
about
what the movie
filmmaking,
is.
I'd go,
Even if
"This is no." But it works. Like
it's a movie where even if it's the first time you see it, you're in on the joke. Right? Like you feel like it makes you feel welcome from the start. Like you're like, okay, I get this. Okay, this is kid, blah, blah, blah. And like you said, it doesn't really challenge you as far as like anything overly dramatic, or you have to accept a lot of things. You can just kind of follow along in this kid's adventures. And it's really all it is just he is the plot, right? Like there's a minor plot going on with, father relationships and stuff like that with Cameron and all that kind of business.
A bit of a serious plot with what he was.
It does.
The dog. He's trying to catch this brat kid. He knows his.
I think this movie was supposed to be a bit darker until. Was it John Hughes that came in and fixed it? That fixed the movie, or was he always?
This is a John Hughes movie from beginning to end.
Yeah, I know. I was gonna say
because we didn't ever got the sequel either that we were supposed to get. I don't know if you guys remember that.
I remember.
John Hughes had planned on doing a sequel about 20 years ago. It was called Ferris Bueller's Second Day Off or something like that. I can't remember exactly what it was going to be called, but it was him and Cameron. They were now in the workforce, and it's literally him taking a day off of work. Like that's the plot.
That was the plot.
That's the same movie, but it's just
the movie. Just he's older.
Yeah, and then Cameron, of course, is the same character still, and he just like doesn't want to get in trouble and all that kind of shit.
It's funny you say that because I thought that this was part of a series when I was a kid. Because when it says Ferris Bueller's Day Off, I assumed, this is the one where it focuses on his day off. Now, where's the other ones? When I was a kid, that's what I thought. But then as I got older, I was like, I don't see how there would be any way to make this into a anything else because this is all it was. He was sick and save Ferris, all this stuff. Like it feels like a Brady Bunch movie kind of, but without there being any prior content or something.
Well, the whole
and
movie
just all kind
like
of gets in at once, and it's like, oh, okay, it's nice. He like Cameron, if anything, goes on an arc of learning to have fun.
Yeah, he's the only one who has an arc. He's the only one who has an arc.
He's a little butthead who's sick.
Him and
he's
his
not
sister,
really
technically,
sick.
but
yeah,
his sister sort of, but not really. But no, it's like because that's the whole point. Is like it's just a slice of life moment kind of thing. It's even partially just kind of like the era of it that it was made into, right? Like just the lackadaisy kind of attitude that teenagers had of the era. I mean, they're not like today, but like the whole idea of it was like a common thing where we'd all plan like one day to all take off together and skip school and stuff like that. And that's kind of what this is playing into, is that whole mentality. And Ferris living up his last day off that he has because he used up all his other days, and how he's just this like legend in the school, and everybody loves him except for
around town.
Say
Ferris on like a water tower.
He's one righteous dude.
They really like him. He's one righteous dude.
It's like it's the comedy, him, Christ, just all it's so bizarre it's one of those ones where I think with Black Angus, we're like talking about it. He's like, the movie doesn't even have a plot or anything, and I'm like, yeah, but like I don't know. He didn't grow up with it, so he was like,
Ferris Bueller is the prototype for the '90s kid. People don't realize that if you really look at it, like the super cool, edgy, in your face, like I don't care, I'm cool. Like that was Ferris Bueller. Like he informed. Even though it's a slice of the 80s, like that's the way that we acted in the like 90s. Like we all did. Well, we all were like that hip to everything, and just we grew up on video.
But that's the thing, is like a lot of like the kids in the early 90s, speaking of which, is like when we started in the 90s, we were still living on the 80s movies. We were living on these movies. These were the ones that were on TV. These are the ones you kept renting from the video store.
No, so Ferris Bueller was like literally every kid in every commercial in the 90s. Though.
Right?
Like
it's true. It's like it always informed off of that, though.
To the kid that was always smarter than every adult around him and too cool for school, but yet was still smart, and it just informed that You're right. It totally informed that 90s attitude. That movie was probably one of the first movie of the 90s, regardless of how 80s it feels. If you really watch it now, I think you could probably agree with me, especially knowing, the Bart Simpsons and all the other kids that came out of the 90s, the kids that always defied their parents, but still got away with it in the end. And, you know what I mean? It was not the Leave It to Beaver kids anymore.
No, it wasn't. They were the cool kids now.
Exactly. Over. Yeah. Where the kids were always that step ahead of the parents. That was kind of the thing. And it started with Ferris. He's kind of the first of that.
The thing I always laugh about is I think when Runner brought on his 4K, because he had to be all bougie about it. He said, I own the 4K. But one of the things me too. But one of the things I always found was funny was that Matthew Broderick was dating what's her name that played his sister at the time they filmed the movie.
Oh, really?
And they killed somebody.
Yeah. And then on top of that, once they did the TV show, the actor that played Ferris on the TV show was dating Jennifer from Friends. What's her name from Friends? Who was married to Brad Pitt?
Jennifer Aniston, that played his sister in the show.
Played his sister on the TV show, and he was dating her. And they actually do a scene in the show where he opens the door, she's standing there, and he starts making out with her. And then the chick turns to the camera and pulls off her face like Mission Impossible, and it's Ferris's girlfriend. And I'm like,
that was another thing. Weird. The show was just kind of weird in some spots. Too. Yeah,
it's like weird. It's like
the show started off on a wrong foot. Like, here's the thing: you can go watch the first 5 minutes of the pilot and realize where the show got off on the wrong foot.
Oh, definitely. When he cuts up the
eggs, you knew exactly where I was going, because it's like you just told your fucking audience that this is not like, you shouldn't even have crossed those worlds over. This is just
you should never have mentioned
an extension of, because what they did, Rook, was they had him pull out a standee of the original. In fact, I think it's that very picture that you have on the cover.
Yeah, it's right on the cover.
and he pulls it out full size standee, and he's like, "They did a movie about me. In fact, I don't really like the movie. It doesn't really represent." And so he just sits there and bashes the movie for like 2 minutes, and doesn't even cut the fucking other Ferris in half with a chainsaw.
Yeah,
If I remember right.
the chainsaw cuts the standee in half. Yeah,
I just remember this. I'm like, holy shit! I'm like, what the fuck are they doing? Like, this is horrible. Like,
where do they get the ideas for that shit?
But otherwise, after that point, the show had the right idea, but Parker Lewis just did it better, right? The Parker Lewis actually had the right tone and everything to it. Yeah.
Then I would say that honestly, I would say the Ferris Bueller character mutated into Luke Perry from 90210. I would say that's where he eventually went to.
Kind of.
It's sort of like
where you're
the
going
next
with
level. You know what I'm saying? Because he was like the cool, like,
well, the 90. Okay, here's where. Okay, so now where you're talking about is here's the kids from. Okay, so my high school era, the kids in my era and our era, I should say, because you're about the same age.
Yeah.
From my recollection, we were all acting like Ferris Bueller growing up, but once we hit high school is when we started acting like in college years and high schools when we started acting like Luke Perry and Jason Priestley and all those kids and Johnny Depp.
I would say that was the next evolution. I should say
that was the next kind of thing. Yes, exactly. So then, like, we all emulated them. Like Johnny Depp was one of the first ones in that, and then it graduated into the 90210 kids. Because everybody forgets about 21 Jump Street. 21 Jump Street was the big thing before 90210. Yeah.
Yeah, because that was on Fox first. Yeah.
Well, not just that. That's just everybody was the guys all looked like Johnny Depp for a while, like a small period there, and then the grunge era happened, and then 90210 kind of.
I was sort of right there on the edge of the grunge and the Luke Perry and all that stuff. That was like because I'm a little younger. Yeah. So I was like on the edge of the grunge. I never liked Pearl Jam though. I did sort of like Nirvana, but I never liked Pearl Jam. So.
So yeah, I started
of a girl, so that was
I started junior high when 90210 was getting hot, and I was in high school when grunge was happening. So like I think I was a freshman the year that Kurt Cobain died. What year did he die?
Oh, I want to say 96, but I'm not sure.
I thought it was 94 or 95 because I want to say it was like a freshman or a sophomore, at least a freshman, I would say. Maybe even in junior high still, but I don't think I was.
Let's see. 94.
Was it 94? Right. Okay, so 94. It would have been either the tail end of my junior high year or the beginning of my freshman year. That's what I thought. Yep.
Yeah, I was never full on into grunge. I mean, like I said, I did do Nirvana, but that's because of a girl actually.
Well, and a lot of things, and to just say to finish off what I was saying there is like with Ferris, like a lot of things fed into that same kind of attitude era, right? You had Macaulay Culkin, who was very similar. You had the Ninja Turtles and what else did we have? Bart Simpson, obviously I already mentioned, but there was some other bratty kids and kind of kids like Ferris Bueller in that era. I'm trying to remember now. I mean, shit, you
like Saved by the Bell or something.
Zach Morris.
Yeah, Zach Morris is definitely a Ferris Bueller. Yes, thank you.
Yep.
Total 1-to-1 comparison there. Absolutely. Zach Morris is basically Ferris Bueller. You're right.
Yeah. Like Saved by the Bell and Parker Lewis did Ferris Bueller better than the Ferris Bueller TV show.
Yes.
They didn't lampoon
you know what,
Ferris
it's funny.
Bueller.
I never thought of that until you just brought it up, Rookie, that yes, I never even put the two together. But you are 100% right. Zach Morris is the exact same character as Ferris Bueller.
Pretty much. The only difference is that he has the power to stop time, pretty much.
Yeah. But I mean, that's him doing the fourth wall break, right?
Yeah, that's how he does it. Yeah, because he would look directly at the camera and give you those looks, and that was very Ferris Bueller. And you got to understand, like, Saved by the Bell was huge for us back in the day. So,
and I never even thought of that till now. Wow, that was a hell of an observation there. Good play.
Indeed, yeah. Well, I was like, Saved by the Bell. That was always one that was like on in the morning before I'd go to school or whatever. So, whenever I see that, I was like, it's kind of like a Ferris Bueller-y guy. It's kind of a funny show. Sure.
Yeah, but that's that. It's a good movie. It is a good movie. I do enjoy that. It's not my favorite John Hughes movie, but it's a good movie.
It's just one of the most bizarre movies. I don't know if you can. How many movies could you make anything like that? Like, there's no. To me, it goes. It's not a formula movie at all. It's just different stuff happening all the time. Just very unique movie. Very unique.
Yeah, it was. Well, you've just watched a bunch of John Hughes movies, and you'll see that style. I mean, Ferris Bueller is a little more different than much, but like watch The Breakfast Club. It's very much in the same vein. of that, but it's a little more serious. So like you'll see stuff like that, or watch 16 Candles. So just keep watching those John Hughes movies, and you'll see a lot of similarities between the two. Or even trains, planes, and planes, trains, and automobiles, and all that. That's John Hughes too.
Okie dokie.
What was the show where they synchronized watches? I don't know. I don't remember that one.
Was that on Saved by the Bell or something else?
There
was a
like,
lot of
I feel
shows
like
like that at that time.
I
That's the
feel like
thing.
that was sometimes Saved by the Bell.
Weird
sometimes-
Science. Watch Weird
Nickelodeon. Weird Science. Yeah, you had Weird Science
Weird
also
Science.
as well.
There was a lot of shows and movies that
And
come to mind when you
Nickelodeon
say
had a
that.
whole slew of shows with the kids who were too smart for the adults too. So yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, good pick there, Rook. You had some good classics tonight. So.
Indeed.
Yeah.
I figured you'd like
Well,
that.
I'll go into my final pick, which will lead into Tom's final pick in a way. So I have Solomon Kane, starring James Purfoy, based off of the comic book character. Oh my God, Robert E. Howard's comic
Robert E.
book character.
Howard book. Yeah. Well,
Which
literature, but yeah.
Literature. Basically, this is a prequel. So it's sort of based off of his works. Now I can honestly say I don't know much about Solomon Kane. I know a little more about other characters Robert E. Howard's made. As far as this movie goes, I did enjoy the movie. I think it's a good movie. It's essentially Solomon Kane before he becomes the Solomon Kane that most people know. Like he was this brutally efficient killing guy in the beginning of the movie and everything, and then he swears off killing, and he goes to like this church where he's taught religion and everything, and to turn the other cheek and all that. And then his time has come for him to leave the monastery, and so he goes on the road with this family, and this family ends up getting attacked, and he doesn't want to kill again. His soul is damned to hell. If he takes up killing again, he's going to go to hell, basically. And he doesn't want to go to hell, but he's really become attached to this family. And so they end up kidnapping the daughter, and he resorts to killing again and becoming Solomon Kane. By the end of if you're familiar with the character and thing, by the end of the movie, and not to spoil too much, he becomes, which I don't think that's a spoiler, but that's where where you're getting. He becomes a Solomon Kane that people have read in the Robert E. Howard stories. As far as the movie goes, James Purfoy, if I'm saying his name right, is great in this movie. He is great in this movie. He's a very underrated actor. He's really cool. He's really badass. The special effects aren't too bad. I know, like Tom was saying earlier, a lot of people were a little upset that this didn't get as wide distribution as it should have. It was kind of just swept under the rug. I'm not even sure what happened with it. I know this was.
I think it just got. It didn't get a decent American distributor. Was the big problem.
It's got this was the Blu-rays from Anchor Bay and Stars.
It's actually expensive as hell from what I'm looking at because I don't have
it. Oh, is it? I paid for like $5 for this.
Yeah, I've been wanting to get. I should have it, but I don't. It's just one I've never come across or been able to get because it's been out of print for some time.
Yeah, but I enjoy the movie. It's a pretty solid movie. I mean, I wish I would have known a little more about Solomon Kane, or Solomon. I keep wanting to say Solomon Grundy for some reason.
It rolls off the tongue.
Well, Solomon Grundy's DC villain.
Yeah, it's the big Bizarro guy.
Yeah, I don't know too much about his character, but I know this movie is actually pretty solid, and I dig the fact that like he doesn't want his soul to be damned to hell, and that's why because like with the mysticism and that stuff, like in the beginning of the movie, it's like this big opening scene where like he's coming off this like ship, and it's like oh my God, where was he? I want to say he's like somewhere in the Middle East, maybe in the beginning of the movie. I can't remember, but he's like coming off and he's just like mowing motherfuckers down with these swords, and there's fire and stuff, and like there's like this creature coming out of this mirror and everything, and that's basically like when he finds out what's going on and everything, and he finds out his soul is going to be damned to hell because this demon tells him, and that's when he stops he gets rid of all his riches because he was kind of like a pirate and he was killing and taking. So he stops and he goes to this monastery and tries to become this good, faithful person, which I know from Solomon Kane, that's what he is. He's like sort of this like he's sort of almost like dresses like a pilgrim type thing, and he does, but he like eventually he gets to the point where he kills for good. If he's damned to hell, he's going to take as many bad mother effers out with him and do the best he can do good that way. So that's like by the end of the movie, that's where he's got to get to match up with the comic book character. But it's a pretty solid movie. I dig it. I think James Perfury does a great job. So yeah, that's a Robert E. Howard story. I know I could talk a little bit more about Call and another character that maybe we'll talk about here in a little bit.
Sounds cool.
Yeah, I don't really know too much about Solomon. I know a little bit, and like I said, I should know more just because.
Yeah.
But
I was like, does Andre like this movie? Because I know he's really.
Oh yeah, he does like it. And he says like most fans do that, even though it's not based on any direct books that Robert E. Howard written, it was basically set up as like this origin story, so they could build off of that. And in that respect, it's a pretty good movie from what I've heard. Yeah. I just haven't had a chance to see it myself. So yeah.
It is good. And I kind of wish
Razorfist likes it too, as far as I know. So,
that's high praise. And because I've always liked the movie, and I've always been a little tepid to talk to certain people about it, because you never know sometimes with how people like this type of movie. Because trust me, these characters are taken very seriously amongst us, and we like what we like. But I enjoyed the movie, and I think I kind of wanted a sequel. I kind of wanted to see where he went to. And I think I remember when it first came out, I kept looking up to see if we were ever going to get a sequel, because I think this was actually supposed to be the first of a trilogy. And it just, like you said, it got bad American distribution and never went anywhere, sadly. So, but yeah, if you can get your hands on a good Blu-ray, do it, because apparently, so I did not realize it was out of print and it was going for extremely high amounts of money. So,
well, I see it for various between 40 and 80. It looks like, yeah.
It was weird because I just remember picking it up for like $5. I can't even remember where I got it, but I remember picking it up for like $5.
Yeah.
Yeah, but as you can see, I've had it for a while. If you can see I actually need to change the case because the plastic is all messed up there. So I probably need to change the Blu-ray case. But there you go. That was my final pick of the night, and it is worth it. And I agree with you. It is a shame it didn't get a trilogy. But Tom,
to the end of the road, finally. So, for many years, we've been forced to watch Conan in this form, which is not the greatest. It's all right. But Arrow, as I reported, and as far as I know, was the one who had a scoop on that, finally brought us the Conan Chronicles with Conan the Barbarian and Conan the Destroyer on 4K. Yeah.
Not a tumor. Oh wait, wrong movie.
It's totally a tumor. Okay, so I don't even know where to start with this, but I guess just show, you got the two posters, double-sided. Got a nice thick book, just chock full.
It's amazing. I can't wait to get mine. I still haven't got mine. I can't wait to get it.
And then, of course, you get each of the films. The first film is a 2-disc set. The movie on 4K plus lobby cards. And then the bonus disc. And you get all 3 versions of the movie on this disc. On the 4K, meaning the theatrical, international, and director's cut.
Beautiful.
And then you got Conan the Destroyer, which the special features are all on the 4K disc here. But there's still quite a few. But this one just has a truckload of special features. I didn't even barely get through some of them. Other than the ones I've seen already, obviously. But yeah, as far as the presentation,
but this look good.
Oh god, yeah, they did a great fucking job on the transfer on here as expected from Arrow. They, you expect no less from them. And on both films, they look amazing. And they also have, for the first time on disc, the mono soundtracks for those who are purists, because they've always had the remix soundtracks on disc, like this and the DVDs previous to this. And they fixed the color timing so it's not all fucking off and weird like it is on this one. It's all like it's supposed to be. There was one minor color timing glitch I caught, and that was it. And I think it was just a glitch. It was something that was completely missed, and it's in the second film. So it's not even in the first film that had issues to begin with. So it's barely noticeable. It's like, I'm not, it's like this shot where it's like going up from one level to another, and you can literally tell there's a sudden shift in the color timing. And that's literally the only time I noticed anything wrong. But other than that, like, it looks great. Quite a bit of the original material existed, obviously, to make these, except for the director's cut of Destroyer, which is sad we don't get the R-rated version of Destroyer. But Andre and I have discussed it a few times, and we're pretty sure that Dino De Laurentiis destroyed that footage because he did not want it to be R-rated. So he probably destroyed it to make sure that nobody could make an R-rated version on purpose for some reason. Sadly, but yeah, at the time he did it for whatever reason, and then not thinking ahead. Like, how would they know? But no, like, it looks great, and the sound, holy shit. So not only do you get the mono soundtrack that has never been available on disc before, they don't have, my only complaint is they don't have the 5.1 mix from the, I just buried it, from this release. Because some people, this is the version they've probably grown up with. And even though I think Blu-ray.com or High Def Digest, one of those two in their review, is claiming that the Dolby Atmos remix is based from the 5.1 mix, it is not. There's no way. They are two very different mixes. Now, they all have the same sound effects, music, all that kind of business, but the actual sound field and the way they play with sound effects is extremely different. So there's no way that Atmos mix is based on the 5.1 mix. Just can't be. Just cannot be. So that is obviously a misnomer. This is a completely redone Dolby Atmos mix. In fact, because there is a few things that I remember, and I did check from this, that I'm like, well, why didn't they do it a little bit more? Like, for instance, in the scene where we first see him in the fighting in the pit, in the old 5.1 mix, all the background noises are coming out of the surround. For some reason, a lot of the voices in this Dolby Atmos mix are center channeled, which I'm not a big fan of. But other than that, the Dolby Atmos mix is grandiose, very booming, much different, but a very grand version of the soundtrack. So it's another mix of it. I just wish they had it, because Arrow is usually pretty completionist. And in the past, they always have had the other mixes. I don't know why they didn't this time. But no, I can highly recommend it if you can get your hands on it still, which it's getting less and less available. Yeah.
I went the cheapy route because it's $44 on Amazon, but it don't come out till February 20th. But
yeah, I guess they're doing another run, but they're not doing that many. So
yeah,
no, Tyrell, they don't have the 5.1 mix on here at all. It's just the mono mix or the Dolby Atmos mix. That's it.
Yeah, but I mean, if you can get your hands on that, I would. I know Diabolique or Diabolic, whatever you want to call them. They have a couple still. Orbit DVD has a couple. Arrow still has them. You can get them from Arrow, but they are running low. And there was some kind of like a
There's still the standalone versions. Yeah, that was the whole thing. Well, the original thing was, this is why I thought that this version was supposed to be the one that was delayed, because the book they had added some stuff to it, but there was an issue they had to fix. So I don't know what it was, but I got mine. A bunch of other people got their sets. I don't know what the fuck they were talking about, to be honest with you. I think it has something. I think it's the single versions that there was a delay on, to be honest with you. But I could be wrong. I don't know, because I haven't got my single versions yet. And I have only seen a couple of reviewers have the single versions.
So it's got to be something with the single versions. Yeah, so like there is still single versions out there. And you can, like Doug Nation was asking, I do believe you can get these on Blu-ray from Arrow with the 4K scan.
Yes, they do have standard Blu-ray versions as well, but it's the 4K scan, and I would assume the sound is the same. I doubt it has the 5.1 mix.
Yes.
But as far as like the single edition or the double disc, you get all the same stuff. The only difference is the single editions come in their own standalone rigid case, as opposed to the other. And I think the books are identical in both.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, I'm hearing good things about it. I'm not too many people are complaining anything about these sets. So yeah.
Oh no,
If you
Arrow
want-
went all out on this. Like honestly, like Andre and I said, the only thing we could have dreamt of that they didn't do. My only other gripe besides not having the 5.1 mix, just as to have it there, is that they don't have the R-rated cut of Destroyer.
Destroy. Yeah.
That would have been nice, and it would have kind of also been cool to probably, I don't know how much different the TV versions were, but just have the TV versions thrown on there too would have been kind of nice. But
I love a good TV version. I know it's nothing important, but
well, they're
sometimes
Dino
they're
De
fun to
Laurentiis
watch.
ones, so I got to assume there was some differences. And I
Yeah.
wonder if that's where some of the footage for Destroyer might have been, because there's like no deleted scenes from what I. Oh, maybe there is.
I'm curious if maybe some of the stuff with the Destroyer has to do with that girl. Maybe that's where they destroyed some of it too, because of.
No, I don't think it has to do with that so much as because the R-rated footage is all like violence.
Oh, okay.
It's more violent oriented. Yeah, I know what you're referring to.
Yeah, because you never know. I mean, I would assume that's why I assume most of it is violence related, blood and stuff. But there's always
And honestly,
you never know what
Destroyer
they
is
did.
not that bad, really, in retrospect. I mean, it's PG action for 1984, so get away with quite a bit.
Yeah, they used to get away. I mean, technically, there's PG boobs in it, so technically, sort of. in a bad way, really.
Well, yeah, it's see-through kind of costume, but it's not that bad.
Yeah.
Not as bad as I recall. Yeah, I don't see any deleted scenes listed on here, so.
Dang, it's $110 down there in Australia for Brad.
Yeah, it's a little steep. It's a little steep. But that would be importing it too, because I don't think this is distributed. And that's the other thing, is that they had to actually work it out with Disney to distribute this too.
Oh boy.
To actually thank Disney in the book. Oh yeah, because foreignly, Fox owns the distribution deal on films.
Well, that kind of pisses me off.
Yeah, Disney owns the rights to them outside of the U.S. Universal owns the rights in the U.S.
That pissed me off that they think Disney and the Arrow set there when they couldn't even get Disney to play ball with them for Legend, so we could get a 4K of Legend. That's that. Fuck Disney, man.
Are you sure that was Disney or was that Universal?
No, that was Disney. Disney, because like there's 3 forms from what I was reading when we talked about the guy. There was like Disney wouldn't play ball with them to get the cut that they needed to make the 4K. Because they had like the 2 of them on board, but Disney was the 3rd one out that wouldn't play ball.
That could be, but I also remember from what I was told about the whole, it's kind of funky what they can allow them to put on these discs sometimes, which is the answer to why we don't get certain director's cuts and stuff sometimes. So I talked to somebody, I can't say who, within the industry, who told me that flat out, like they are basically at the mercy of what the studios allow.
Yeah.
And a lot of it has to do with whatever they do. Every other studio in every other country or whatever every other region that has a different distribution deal has to also have that available to them, so it can be a lot of red tape to deal with. So a lot of these studios will just tell them not to include it for that very reason. So I'm actually surprised with the amount of TV cuts and stuff that we have been getting over the past few years, because that's kind of out of the ordinary for us. Like we normally wouldn't be getting stuff like that, because that's a lot of red tape to go through. To get everything signed off, because that's kind of what got in the way of a lot of these special features in more recent years, if you guys are curious. And I know Robert Meyer Burnett has covered this, and we've covered it on 4K for you and stuff like that. But that's one of the things. A lot of these studios just don't want to deal with a lot of the red tape and the shit that has to be signed off on, and find out who owns what and residuals and this, that, and the other. They just assume at this point it's easier for them just to slap the movie and nothing else on the disc, and that's it. So yeah.
True. Yeah.
So I do applaud when they do go out of their way to try and do the various versions, because like in this version they obviously would have had to do the deal to get the international cut. The director's cut and the international cut are almost identical. There's a couple minor differences, but otherwise there's literally 3 minutes of difference between all 3 cuts. So keep that in mind. Like And most fans just prefer the director's cut. So
Right. But I'm looking forward to getting my set. It looks everything I've heard about it's awesome. So I'm excited.
definitely vying for set of the year, the release of the year already, right? Like we're just a couple, like not even a month into the year, and here Arrow is already dropping their big ass fat cock on the table and going, beat this shit.
What do you got next, guys?
Yeah, like at this point, somebody's got to come up with something major for me.
You got the faculty. Oh, you didn't even announce it. We got
Yeah,
we got Conan. Yeah,
honestly, I mean, they're on my top of the list for last year alone already. So I mean, between some of the shit they did, so with the Warriors and stuff like that they caught at the end of the year.
Apparently, $110 is cheap down there.
Yeah, that's I was gonna say. I'm trying to remember what the denomination goes like, but like, yeah,
Australian money. Yeah,
I know I pay a lot.
I mean, if we're getting Conan this early in the year, it just makes me think, what do they got coming down the lane?
Right. Well, Arrow, like I said,
the next big thing.
Knocked it out of the park at the end of last year with Warriors. So, like, yeah, I mean, on top of already not just Warriors, but they had Barbarella and Tremors 2 and a couple other ones throughout the year. The fucking Psycho set.
Yeah,
I mean, come on, like. These guys are at the top of my list right now. Fuck Shout Factory, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, the Hellraiser set, the Psycho set.
Yeah.
I believe the movie I brought on, the Dunwich Horror, which I believe came out last year as well, which was really good. I was surprised, but it's nothing big, but I was pleasantly surprised with that. And then now
I even forgot we talked about it earlier. Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. They released that in the UK.
Yeah.
That was a good set too. But no, like yeah, I mean, this is going to be a tough one to beat already this year. I mean, we got a lot of big movies that could come out. Terminator, the Nightmare on Elm Street films. I mean, 84 was a big year for movies, as we always talk about. And if some of these movies don't see this, Blazing Saddles, such with it being a 50th anniversary for that, I mean, if some of these movies don't hit disc this year, I'm going to be very disappointed.
I mean, if we don't get a Nightmare on Elm Street for the 40th anniversary, that's what the hell is Warner Brothers doing? Seriously. I mean, it's ridiculous that we've gotten the Child's Plays, we've got the Halloweens, we've got the Friday the 13th.
Well, we've got those on standard Blu-ray, but yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, we got the first
Paramount, what the hell happened? 4K. We were supposed to get part 2 this last year, and we didn't get it on 4K. What the fuck?
Yeah, they're slowly releasing them on 4K, but I mean, like, meanwhile, us Nightmare on Elm Street fans are like, well, I mean, Robert Englund's retired, and he's not getting much, maybe we'll get a 4K eventually. So it's like, what's up with that? But anyways, great set. Great picks tonight. Anybody got anything else they want to say before we close it down?
No, I think we managed to pull this off. But considering how many titles I managed to bring on this episode, I'm impressed. So
I know.
We pulled it off in 3 hours.
Yeah, we went 3 hours 11. I even added one because I only had 3 and now I got 4. Because I brought it on Solomon Kane. I wanted to sort of.
Anthony asked about The Crow. We brought it up in the beginning of the show. The rumor is it's supposed to be out in April.
Yes. There you go.
That would be the 20th or 30th anniversary for that this year.
I'm excited for that one as well because I love The Crow.
Because that came out in 94 or was it 93?
I think 94.
Another one, Warner Brothers, if you're not listening, and this wasn't 94. On your list. Dumb and Dumber and The Mask need a 4K release.
Yes.
We need the theatrical cut of Dumb and Dumber too. I'm sick of this unrated version.
Yeah, I want the original cut, the theatrical cut.
I don't give a fuck if you give both of them to us. Just
just put it out.
Just give us the original. Like that one I want on 4K so bad. That and The Mask. I mean, The Mask might be kind of
with the early dodgy. CGI.
Yeah, with the early, but there's a lot of it just makeup too. So
yeah.
I think that would just with the colors and everything, that would just fucking pop.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, New Line's got a handful of movies. Like, why are you not getting these out? Like, you're talking about Blade 2 and 3. Fuck them.
Yeah.
Get Dumb and Dumber and Mask out. What the hell are you doing? And Ninja Turtles. Why isn't Ninja Turtles on that fucking list?
Exactly. Ninja Turtles, Nightmare on Elm Street, Dumb and Dumber. I could pick up a bunch of Warner Brothers New Line Cinema ones that
Well,
we
yeah,
need
like,
4K of.
this New Line's gotten very little love outside of Lord of the Rings. I mean, yeah, we had Blade. I think that's the only other New Line 4K that I can think of. Maybe another one or two that I'm forgetting, but so I think Evil Dead Rising, I think, was a New Line title, not counting new movies. Take new movies out of the equation because New Line isn't New Line anymore. They're just a subsidiary of fucking Warner
Brothers bought them up after Lord of the Rings.
Basically, yeah. But no, there's a ton of like where's Long Kiss Goodnight, right? I'm trying to think of some other bigger New Line titles that are just like screaming for a fucking 4K release, but I'm sure there's more that I'm just drawing a blank on right now because I've been streaming for over 12 hours. Leatherface would be a fun one, but I mean, there's more prestigious and bigger ones than that.
But that I mean, we got 1 and 2 on 4K. At least give. I mean, the third one would be pretty cool to have on 4K just to complete it. I can't think of much of them too.
Well, they had a lot of cool horror. The Critters films would be nice to have, and at least the first two in 4K would be nice.
That would be nice. Yeah.
But I don't think those sold well enough that they'll worry about that. I think those Blu-ray are the end of the line for those. Because from what I heard, that did not sell too well.
Yeah, sadly. But I love the Critters movies.
Yeah. But no, New Line in the House Party movies, like where are those? Oh, yeah.
The House Party 1, 2, and 3, definitely.
Yeah.
Forget anything that comes after the third movie. Kid and what's the one? High School
Class Act. That's a Warner title, yeah.
Yeah, I would like Class
That wasn't
Act.
even New Line. That was full on Warner. God, there's a few other big Warner or New Line titles.
Friday, which we talked about.
Friday is in there, yeah, but that one doesn't surprise me.
Dark City, Mortal Kombat, the 1995 version. Yeah,
because they actually allowed Criterion to do Boys in the Hood or Menace to Society. That's the one. Menace to Society. I think that's a New Line title.
Yeah,
it's a New Line one. Yeah, there's a ton of those. Like New Line had the market cornered for urban movies in the 90s. Like there's a ton of them. Like you want to, like it's Black History Month. Why aren't we getting a bunch of those? Like House Party and a bunch of those movies. Like it would make sense.
I would love the House Party ones. Those DVDs are.
Oh yeah, they're old.
Yeah, we need some at least Blu-rays. I mean, if you're not going to give us 4Ks, at least give us the Blu-rays of them or something, man.
Well, I still have the old ass. This is a 20-plus-year-old DVD here that I have. It's 2000, yep. This DVD came out closer to when the movie was actually made than now.
It's sad.
That makes sense.
That's sad. All right. Well, we're going to close it down. Thank you all out there in the chat and everybody at home who's watching. Thank you, Rook. Thank you, Tom. Appreciate each and every one of you guys. Thank you for all your support. Make sure you guys hit that like button, subscribe to Rook and Tom. With that being said, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
How you doing? Bitches leave.